A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all-old-time radio.
And now, Backstage Wife, the story of Mary Noble and what it means to be the wife of a famous star. A moment ago, Larry Noble faced the famous trial lawyer Clarence Brewster in the visiting room of the New York City jail, where Larry is being held for the murder of the young fortune hunter Oliver Wilson. Larry told Brewster that he intended to retain another lawyer for his defense. After a pause of several seconds, Brewster's face is flushed with anger. As he replies,
Mr. Noble, I have no wish to represent anyone who is not entirely satisfied with my ability. I would like to point out the fact that I was reluctant to take this case at the start.
I know, Mr. Brewster.
It was only after considerable persuasion on the part of my good friend Rupert Barlow that I agreed.
That's precisely why I think we'd both be better off if we parted right here and now.
You know what this is liable to do to your case?
Suppose you tell me, Mr. Brewster.
When I walk out and announce that you're going to retain other counsel, everyone will believe that I didn't think you had a chance of acquittal.
Isn't that what you have thought right along, Mr. Brewster?
Frankly, yes. And I was planning to put up a rousing fight for you. I thought perhaps I could get a hung jury.
I see. I'm sure you'd have done a very able job of defending me. However, since we don't agree on who's to be responsible for your fee, I think it's better if I find legal counsel through my friends.
Mr. Noble, this is the most preposterous thing I've ever heard of. Are you deliberately trying to jeopardize your chances?
Oh, I can assure you I'm not. But I will feel easier in my mind with a lawyer who is entirely on my side, instead of one who's being paid by someone to whom I do not wish to be in debt.
This is the wrong time for you to adopt so arrogant an attitude, Mr. Noble. I'll tell you this from the wealth of my experience. You would do better to accept gracefully any help that is offered, for any reason whatever.
Thanks for the advice, Mr. Brewster, but I prefer to do this my own way.
Very well. I only hope you won't regret it.
You can't hope that as much as I do. Thanks again for all the time you've given up on this case. And when you've considered it carefully, I think you'll be glad to be spared the pain of defending a man you don't believe to be innocent.
Mr. Noble, you will find very few people who will be persuaded to think that you did not murder Oliver Wilson by hanging him backstage at your theater, after you learned that Wilson had eloped with Claudia Vincent, the young woman you couldn't bear out of your sight.
I can only hope there will be a few who believe me.
You may well hope those few will, by some happy accident, sit on the jury when your case comes to trial. Guard, I'm ready to leave.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize you were leaving. And I did want to talk to you, Mr. Brewster, if you could spare a few minutes.
There is nothing to talk about, Mrs. Noble. Nothing at all. It has all been said. Good day.
Good day.
Darling, what does he mean? Why did he look so angry?
I hit him in his vulnerable spot, Mary, his ego.
Larry, what did you say to him to make him rush out of here like that?
I told him I want to have another lawyer.
Larry, you didn't.
Of course I did.
But that's terrible. Clarence Brewster is the most brilliant trial lawyer in this part of the country.
So you keep saying.
It's true, darling. You only have to look at his record. Why, he's had more acquittals than anyone else.
There must be other capable lawyers in New York.
But just think what people will say when they hear Brewster has left the case. They'll wonder why. And they're sure to start saying that it must be far worse than they suspected.
Who are these people you refer to so glibly? Is Rupert Barlow one of them?
I haven't even mentioned Rupert.
So I've noticed. But you know what he'll say when he finds out that his hand-picked lawyer has been rejected.
Why are you deliberately making things as bad as possible for yourself?
I don't think I am. And in any case, Mary, I don't propose to have you deep in debt to a man like Rupert Barlow.
Why, you should realize that nothing matters except to win your freedom. If you send away the best trial lawyer you could get, then you're hurting your own chances. Won't you let me call him back, Larry? Tell him you were nervous, on edge.
And let him browbeat me for the rest of the case? No thanks, Mary.
Well, then what are you going to do?
I'm having Lester Jordan and the other friends from my club find me a lawyer who will take the case and not argue about who's to pay his fee. I'm going to manage my own defense from now on, without help from the great Rupert Barlow.
You're prejudiced.
Well, all right, Mary, let it go at that. I've told you how I feel about Barlow, and I haven't changed my mind. But I don't expect you to give up so easily. It wouldn't be convenient for you to stop seeing Rupert now of all times, would it? And it wouldn't be politic to let him out of your life in the event my case should go against me.
Larry, how can you say such things? How can you even think them?
You'd be surprised what a lot of things you can think about when you spend your time in a place like this.
But you mustn't let your mind become so bitter, darling. Don't turn against everyone who's on your side.
Back to Rupert Barlow again. Can't we get away from him?
I wasn't speaking of Rupert. I haven't spoken to him since you told me not to, in such definite terms. I'm talking about myself. You can't believe these things about me, Larry.
I'm sorry, honey. I know I'm being a dog in the manger. I wish I were big enough to overlook these things, but I'm not. I can't help it if I'm jealous. It drives me crazy to think of you being carefully drawn into a trap by a man whose only concern is to have his own way at any cost.
You're wrong, Larry. I know you don't see it now, but you're very wrong.
No, it's no use trying to convince me.
I know. Well, we can't afford to waste any more time. We'll have to get Lester Jordan and the others from the Green Room Club to find you a lawyer. Do you want me to phone him?
No, honey, not right yet. I've already spoken to Les about this, and he's working on it. He's got some other evidence up his sleeve. He won't tell me about it, but he's very much set up.
Well, what do you suppose it could be?
I don't know, Mary, but I'm satisfied to leave it to my friends. So just try to accept my way of doing this, if you can.
All I want is your freedom, Larry. Don't ever doubt that again.
And at the same time, we find Lester Jordan, the actor and close friend of Larry's, seated in an open, horse-drawn carriage, driving through New York Central Park. Suddenly he sees the person he's looking for. This person is Claudia Vincent. And we hear...
Stop right over there, driver, where that lady is standing.
Yes, sir. Oh, Nellie. Hello.
I'll get out and help her in, but hold the horse steady.
Well, don't you worry about Nellie. She'll stand all right. She got to stand and keep going.
Oh, so you did manage to get here, Mr. Jordan.
Well, I came right away, as I told you I would. Do you think anyone saw you?
Oh, no, I don't believe so.
Good. Let me help you, Miss Vincent. Steps rather high.
Thanks.
I'll put this fur robe over your knees. It's rather cold, you know.
Oh, thanks so much. Oh, this is wonderfully comfortable.
All right, driver, around the park, and don't hurry.
I got you. Come on, Nellie. Up. Get up, girl.
I know you must consider me absolutely mad to suggest this way of meeting Mr. Jordan.
Well, I was a little startled, I'll admit, but I find it rather pleasant.
Well, that's very sweet of you, Mr. Jordan. I just couldn't think of any other way to talk without being overheard. Oh, you don't suppose the driver can hear us, do you?
No, not when we talk softly. He's rather deaf, I think.
And I'm sure he's not interested. He probably takes us for sweethearts.
Well, I can't object to that.
Oh, you are being nice.
Tell me what's happened and where you're staying.
Oh, Mr. Jordan, I've had the most ghastly time trying to keep out of Victor's way. Oh, he's Rupert Barlow's chauffeur, you know.
Yes.
At least that's what he calls himself. But actually, I think he's an underworld creature who could carry out any violent ideas Rupert Barlow might dream up.
But I don't see why he should be on your trail, Miss Vincent.
Rupert Barlow doesn't intend to let anyone testify for Larry. Anyone who could help Larry to be acquitted. Because you know Rupert is interested in Larry's wife, Mary. And Rupert knows that there's no one except myself who might help Larry to be free.
And you think your testimony can accomplish that?
I know it can, Mr. Jordan.
Well, then you'd better talk it over with Larry's lawyer.
Tell Clarence Brewster my story? Well, I should say not.
Brewster isn't going to defend Larry. My friends and I are getting him a new man.
Oh? Oh, are you sure about this, Mr. Jordan?
Absolutely, and that's why I'm suggesting you tell your story to him.
Well, not yet. Not until I see whether he's going to be trustworthy. Oh, I know it must seem strange to hear anyone so suspicious, but well, you just don't know what I've been through. No, I'm not going to tell it to anyone, Mr. Jordan. Not even to you. Until the proper time.
Well, it's up to you, Miss Vincent, of course, but I don't like the idea of you being frightened by these hoodlums. I wish you'd let the police provide protection until the case comes to trial.
Oh, that's the last thing I do. With Rupert Barlow's influence to use against me? Oh, no. No, I've got to stay hidden. I can't let you know where, Mr. Jordan. Oh, right now, I feel fairly safe. The only thing is, this protection is so terribly expensive.
Yeah, I've brought some money along. I hope this will help you for the time being.
I'll try to make it do. Oh,
You don't know how I hate to accept this from you, Mr. Jordan. But if it helps Larry Noble to clear himself of this horrible charge, well, then I'm sure we'll both feel that it was worth it.
Mr. Jordan is obviously impressed by the beautiful Claudia Vincent, who in turn is feeling rather pleased with herself right now. We'll be sure to be listening tomorrow to Backstage Wife, the story of Mary Noble and her husband Larry Noble, famous Broadway star.
Now, stay tuned for X-1 on NBC. Countdown for blast-off. X-5, 4, 3, 2, X-1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come transcribed tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in 1,000,000 could-be years on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, presents X-1. Tonight, the Frank Quattrocchi story, Sea Legs.
I stood in line at the Grav 1 desk with the old notch service record and tapes in my hand and waited for the board processing clerk to speak. The clerk seemed utterly indifferent to the excitement of the men in the line. I wondered how long he'd been out here on this godforsaken Zone 5 planet.
Next. Name?
Robert Craig.
Occupation?
Flight officer.
Destination?
Earth.
Earth?
Anything wrong with that?
Well, I guess not. How long since you've been on Earth, Mr. Craig?
Well, I've never been there. My parents left during the second colonization of Cassiopeia. I was born there.
Have you ever been in a gravity system?
Oh, just briefly. Under drugs, of course.
You'll have to go through the gravity conditioning course.
Yes, so I was told.
Proceed to the airlock chamber on your right and follow the robot's orders. Good luck. You may need it. Next.
I went into the chamber and stripped off my clothing while the robot droned its orders.
Remove all metal objects from your person. Place them in the plastic tube at your left. Now stand underneath the decontamination tube. Depress the button with your right foot. This is all. Proceed through the green door to the psychometric section. Please respond quickly to orders, and so to not impede the progress of others. Next, please.
The door to the psychometric section led into a pleasant but cold-looking room with a single metal desk. A man with a balding, high forehead sat behind the desk.
Mr. Craig, have a seat. I'm Captain Wyandotte, the psychological officer.
Nice to meet you.
Yes, well, let's see your records. You list your destination as Terror. You're certain you wish to go to Earth?
Of course I'm certain.
You're somewhat aggressive, Mr. Craig.
Look, I've been standing in line taking orders from clerks and robots for 6 hours. Every time somebody sees that I'm headed for Earth, I get the fish eye. Are they jealous or what?
I hardly think so. You've been a spaceman for 16 years, Mr. Craig. You've been zooming around in the countergraph systems in the outer galaxies without any restraints or self-discipline.
Have you ever spent 6 weeks strapped into a grav seat on a space rocket, Captain? There's a good deal of self-discipline involved in that.
I think you will find things on Terror require a different kind of self-discipline, Mr. Craig.
Well, I'm pretty much aware of what it's like.
Are you? I suppose you've heard all the popularizations in the tapezines. Well, Mr. Craig, let me give you a word of caution. It's going to be vastly different.
I'm prepared for that, Captain. Can we get going?
Naturally. You will undergo a 20-day conditioning course.
20 days?
Mr. Craig, you've been in space 16 years. Your body is conditioned to a normal state of free fall, or at best to acceleration. The return to gravity would kill you if you weren't prepared for it.
All right, what do I do?
Report to Centrifugal Department. Here are your papers. Oh, and Mr. Craig.
Yes?
Centrifugal is a rather trying ordeal. If during the course of treatment you should change your mind about returning to Earth, you're free to do so.
Thanks. I won't. I'd heard about centrifugal, but you can never really know about these things until you experience them. 4 times a day we were whirled around until it seemed as if our insides were too big for our bodies. On the 12th day, it got to be too much for me. I was in the base hospital for 5 days. My roommate was an old space bum they'd brought in to die with a case of ruptured veins. His name was Charlie Brockman.
How you feel, son?
I'm pretty good, Charlie.
You get discharged tomorrow, I hear. You gonna try it again?
I guess so.
Why?
Only way I'll ever get to Earth.
You really want to go?
That's right.
You talked to anybody been there last 10 years or so?
No, you don't get to talk to many people from Earth and the galaxies. Were you ever there?
Me? Now, what would an old space bum like me be doing on Terra?
Well, I just thought maybe...
I done most of my time in Zone 5. Out there, you get to thinking anybody who stays less than 80 light years from Earth is a landlubber.
Yeah, I used to think the same. Then I took the exam for a job back on Earth, and I passed it.
I used to think I'd like to go back. But space was exciting, you know. New and raw. It tugged at your guts, and it sent the blood rushing through your veins. But it was free. No bureaucrat ever lasted 6 months in Grav 5.
I had enough hitting atmospheres all over the universe, old man.
Maybe you're right. Lean over here, will you?
Sure.
Unbutton my pajama top, will you?
Okay.
There's a chain around my neck. Got a little message capsule on it.
Oh, yeah, I got it.
Do me a favor, huh? Take it with you when you go back to Terra. Don't open it till you're on the ship.
Okay, Charlie.
And, son.
Yes?
I lied to you. I have been back to Terra. I faked some papers and made a landing there 6 months ago.
What are you doing back here?
I had to leave in a hurry.
Why?
You'll find out, son. Good luck.
Charlie died the next day. A few hours later, I was visited by Captain Wyandotte, the psych officer.
How are you feeling, Craig?
Okay.
You still want to go back to Earth?
Yes.
You're completely sure you want to live out your life there, to give up space service for it?
Look, we've gone through this, Captain. Now, you tell me that spacemen don't settle down on Terra, yet you won't or you can't tell me why. All right, what's the pitch? Does the Space Service need men so badly that they have to make it impossible for us to go back?
That, Mr. Craig, you will have to discover for yourself. You have my authorization to complete your conditioning and return to Earth as a private citizen. I wish you luck. You'll need all you can get.
Somehow I managed to survive the torments for 18 days. I was ready to return to Earth. A month later, I descended from a huge intergalactic jet at Los Angeles Spaceport. I was dead tired from the trip. I checked in at the nearest inexpensive hotel.
This is your room, sir.
Just put the bags down, will you? I'll unpack myself.
Yes, sir. Just back from outer space, sir?
Yeah, that's right. How could you tell?
Sea legs.
Sea legs?
Oh, the way you walk. You can tell when somebody's been in the low-grav systems.
Oh, well, here.
Oh, thanks, Mr. Craig. For another 5 units, I'll tell you where it is.
Where what is?
You know, the mic.
Mic?
Okay, make it 3 units. I won't hold you up.
You mean a microphone?
Yeah, that's right. They wanted to put screens in, but the boss convinced them there ain't any Freedomites ever stay here.
Freedomites?
Not so loud. You want to get controlled?
No. Here's the money. Where is it?
It's in the bed illuminator. You can short it with a razor blade.
Thanks.
You, want any sensation tapes?
What are they?
You know, mental image tapes. Oh, boy, you've been away from terror a long time.
Wait a minute, before you go, son.
Yeah?
Where's the minerals building? I have to report there for a job interview.
Oh, that's in the government cluster. 5th level at X and 2nd.
Thanks. I'll want breakfast about 8 o'clock.
Well, I'll need your ISS units.
My what?
Your ration units.
I don't have any ration units.
You have your ident card?
Look, I just got here an hour ago.
Oh. Well, you better go see the Civil Control Board tomorrow. If you want to eat, that is.
All right, where do I find the control board?
Government cluster. But don't worry. If you don't find them, they'll find you.
I went to sleep that night with the uneasy feeling that somebody was watching me. It had been a weird day. I hadn't exactly liked it. Well, I told myself it figured that there'd be more formalities and rigmarole on Earth than there were out in the systems, especially at first. Still, I couldn't get the idea of the concealed microphone out of my mind.
You may relax, Mr. Craig. You are Mr. Craig.
Yes, Robert Craig.
You aren't nervous, are you?
No. This is my first time before the control board, and, well, it's my first time.
Flight officer, eh? Somewhat unusual for a vigorous young man like yourself abandoning space service, isn't it?
I don't know. Is it?
Leaving something behind, Mr. Craig?
No.
You don't like this sort of affair, do you, Mr. Craig?
Well, I'm afraid I don't quite see its necessity. I served the intergalactic service well. My records prove it.
It's enough impertinence, Mr. Craig. Answer the questions. You are a Terran?
Yes.
Where are your loyalties?
I don't understand.
Your first loyalties are to intergalactic, is that right?
Is there a distinction?
Do you wish to be held in contempt of this board?
Of course not.
Then you will confine your responses to simple yes answers. Now, Mr. Craig, we shall begin again. Please try to show restraint of emotion. You are here to petition for an identity card of provisional code 2 type. You maintain that you've never been on Terra before. Indeed, you state that you've never had a political affiliation.
Yes.
What are your reactions to the latest acts of the Liberal Party?
I have none.
You do not condemn the Liberal Party?
Well,
Then you must favor it.
I don't know anything about it.
Now then, Mr. Craig. The import service report shows that you passed your test aboard your ship. You were unable to accomplish this through night study.
Yes.
Yet you maintain in your application that you had considered the space service a career.
I changed my mind.
Oh, you changed your mind. I see. I see, too, that you have petitioned the board for a private means of conveyance. Why do you wish to own your own transportation vehicle?
To make it easier to get around, I report to my job and...
What job?
I passed the exam for the import service. I report today.
Where are you living, Mr. Craig?
At the Star Hotel.
Very well. You'll wait outside in the waiting room until you're called again.
I waited about 2 hours in the porcelainized waiting room of the Civil Control Board. Then I was called over to the clerk's desk at a small window. He stamped some cards for me.
Craig.
Here.
Here's your stuff. Class 1 provisional ident card. Sign it and fingerprint it. Don't lose it. If you do, you'll be picked up by the control agents.
I petitioned for a Class 2 card.
You'll get a Class 1. This entitles you to maintain an apartment in the lower level of the Beverly Project. Here's your clothing ration. You'll have to turn in that leather flight jacket.
What? No, wait a minute. I had this made on Chuan. Listen, I can remove the insignia.
That is not the point. Your clothing ration is defined by law. There are no exceptions. This is your food ration.
What's all this medical stuff on the card?
You are rationed fairly in accordance with your particular metabolism.
Oh, you're kidding.
I do not kid, Mr. Craig.
Well, what about a car? I asked to be allowed to buy a car.
I see. Your petition to be permitted to purchase a private means of transportation is hereby denied.
I walked out of the control board feeling like a man who has just come out of free fall into a hypergravity system. Instead of reporting to the import service for my initial job interview, I walked around the city. I don't know how long I walked, maybe an hour, maybe two. After a while, I came to the outskirts of old Los Angeles. There was a big fence around it and the usual signs. Radioactivity. Beware. It was just a pile of rubble and twisted girders. I looked at it for a while and then turned around and headed for the intergalactic freight office.
So you figure you made a mistake.
Yeah, that's right. You don't hear much about Terra out there.
And you want me to sign you back into intergalactic?
Yes.
You got any character references?
No, not here on Earth, but I can post a good-sized bond if they'll release my ISS unit.
What's your rating?
I can handle anything up to 15 G's acceleration on my old license.
You got a Turan contract with import service, you said?
I haven't started work yet.
Look, kid. Mr. Craig, is it? How long you been on Earth?
2 days.
So you're a spaceman. Flight officer, ex-flight officer. You know how to navigate through 4-star zones and the asteroid belt thrown in. You got a license for 15 G's, could get 5 more with a check flight. You got enough brains to pass the import senior routers exam. But you ain't got enough sense to come in out of the rain. We get guys like you every day. You're hot, you're big, you're raring to go. But you ain't gone nowhere.
I'm listening.
I don't know how you got here, Craig. Maybe you did quit honorable, or maybe you went and burned up a colony someplace.
That would be in my records.
The point is, it don't make any difference. Nobody leaves Terra without a permit. Nobody gets a permit to go back to space once he hits this old apple.
Why not? They afraid somebody will tell what it's like?
Oh, son, you got things to learn. One is you don't go shooting off your mouth. Another is Terra's changed a lot since the radioactive wars. We're going places, doing things. Big places, big things. You've got to fit into that, kid. Move with it. Stick around. You still got your sea legs. You're going to like it here. You can make a quick dollar and spend it quick, too. But you'd better smarten up, or you'll finish scrubbing radioactive dust off girders.
That's the story, huh? The whole story?
That's it. Everything runs by a system. And, son, you can't buck the system.
Yeah. I don't suppose there's any place around here a guy could get a quick drink.
Oh, yeah, out at the end of Y Street, they got a little place you can buy in Acadian Tars. Pluto's, they call it.
Thanks.
Yeah, get it out of your system, then settle down. That's my advice.
Thanks. So long.
Get me the control agent. He just left here. He's on his way to the Pluto Cafe.
Hey, waiter. Waiter, bring me another drink for the young lady. Wow. Now then. Where were we?
I don't know. In fact, I still don't know why you're buying me free drinks.
I told you I want somebody to talk to.
You a purist? Or maybe you don't like the brand of sensation tapes they're peddling these days.
You know, you don't have a bad face, really, underneath the makeup. I mean, it's a little crooked, but it ain't bad, really.
Thanks. Does me pretty good.
Well, what's your name?
Gloria.
Oh, sure. Sure, I remember. Gloria!
Maybe you had enough to drink.
No, not yet. You know, I look around, I see all these people with their faces all froze up like plastic. And I feel like I got to know somebody, or I go out of my mind. So what happens? Everybody is afraid. I mean, what happened? Whatever happened to freedom? What's the matter? Did I say something? What's everybody so quiet about all of a sudden?
Okay. Come with me.
Hey, well, who are you?
Control board agent.
Hey, I wasn't with him. Honest, he just picked me up and bought me a drink and started shooting off his mouth. I wasn't with him.
Let's go, Mac.
Wait a minute, what for?
You'll find that out. Come on. On your feet.
Okay, come on, keep your hands off.
I'll go with you.
Everybody else, just mind your own business. You, girlie.
Yeah?
Let's see your ident card.
Here.
You live at this address?
Yeah?
Alone?
With my sister.
Maybe some night you could go to a movie or something. We could spend some time getting acquainted.
Yeah. Yeah, sometime.
Good, I'll call you.
Hey, I need my dent card back. I can't get rations without it.
I'll keep it. Bring it back myself.
Wants to give a girl her card. No!
Well, maybe you mind your own business. Let's go. You walk just a little in front of me.
He was a big man, maybe 250 pounds, and he shuffled when he walked. He'd hit me right across the right shoulder with a sort of rubber truncheon. Now it began to ache. We're walking along a sort of back street. Everywhere in the universe there were such streets. Streets where you could find freedom in anonymity, a compromise between lawlessness and law. They are permitted by the authorities because it is necessary to have a place for those who are not permitted elsewhere.
Okay, step into the stowaway. Hurry up, you fool. We're being followed.
Well, we're followed by whom?
Don't ask questions. Who's you told?
Don't I have any rights?
You got the right to get hit over the head unless you do what you're told. Now, quick. Hey, come in. In here. Hurry.
Hey, who are they shooting at, you or me?
Both of us. Down these steps.
Stop! Stop or we'll fire!
Through this door. Now, duck behind that pillar. Don't make a sound.
You see them? 9 trays! Come on, they probably slipped out.
Walk through the tunnel behind you. One false move and you're finished. Go on.
From the direction of the tunnel, I guessed it was part of an old sewage system that led toward the ruined city. I don't know how long we walked, maybe an hour. Finally, we came to a small wooden door.
Stop here. Okay, let's have it.
What? Have what?
The tube.
I don't know what you mean.
Our detectives picked it up on you the minute you got off the plane. You're carrying a radioactive message tube with a periodic emission signal. I'll need to have it before we can go any further.
You mean the tube that old Charlie gave me?
Old Charlie?
Yes, Charlie Brockman. The old spaceman who was in the hospital with me.
Where is it?
I think it's in my pocket. I never even bothered to open it.
Do it now.
Let me see. Oh, yeah, here it is.
Open it.
It's empty.
That's right. The message is in the tube itself. We identify our people by the radioactive pattern.
Our people?
You'll see.
Come in. Make it fast. This the one?
This is the one.
She been drugged?
He's had PON. A massive dose at the Pluto.
Good. Mr. Craig, my name's Cocteau. This is Mr. Brannigan. You're probably quite bewildered about all this. Let me clarify the situation. You're now in the headquarters of the Freedomites, underneath the radioactive part of old Los Angeles. Mr. Brannigan is not a control agent. He's one of our men. We've been watching you ever since we detected the message tube as your ship was approaching Earth.
Now, wait a minute. You guys are Freedomites?
That's right.
You're pretty illegal, aren't you?
Let's say our lives aren't worth a snap of your fingers if we're caught.
All right, who are you? Where are you from?
Most of us are from the same place you're from, outer space. Many of us had the same history you have. We shipped into Earth and became disillusioned and went to the intergalactic freight office to apply for a job. The man at the office, the man who made the speech about coming in out of the rain, is one of our agents.
Aren't you taking a chance telling me all this?
Not at all. At the Pluto, you were given a massive dose of PON. You won't remember anything that happened to you after the drug hits you in an hour or so. It works like a shock. Everything will be repressed into the unconscious.
Oh, I see. Very neat.
It will exist in your unconscious, however. Somewhere,
Because you're the kind of man you are. Because living in space has taught you the blessing of feeling free. You'll be able to draw upon your unconscious knowledge when you need to.
And when will that be, Mr. Cocteau?
That depends on whether you decide to join us or not.
Join you in what? I haven't the faintest idea of what you're trying to do. For all I know, you're a bunch of traitors. You know, I've heard this comes the revolution stuff before.
My friend, you're woefully ignorant of our aims, as is to be expected. We anticipate no revolution. We print no leaflets, publish no newspaper, and we have no world plan for conquest. The kind of totalitarian mind which subscribes to tight economic systems like the ancient Marxism of the communists is abhorrent to us. We're interested in only one thing, the preservation of the idea of freedom. Our fear is that men will forget what it's like to feel free.
Well, how do you expect to accomplish this?
Our concepts are being kept alive in only one place in the universe today.
Outer space?
Exactly. On the frontiers of the universe, where freedom is a condition of life and growth.
Suppose I join you. How can I help?
You're an experienced pilot. We have enough connections to do some plastic surgery on your face and get you a position piloting a spaceship again. You'll remember nothing of your mission, but you will remember that you have been back to Earth, what it was like. You'll be able, carefully, of course, to tell people, to help keep the idea of freedom alive. Think it over carefully. You have 20 minutes before the drug takes effect.
I don't need 20 minutes. I'll do it.
Good. In exactly 48 hours, you'll wake up in your hotel bed with a new face, the identity card of a man named Harold Janus. You'll not remember how you got them or why, but you'll know what to do with his identity. He is, or was, master navigator on the Earth-Mars run. Good luck, Mr. Craig.
I woke up in the hotel bed, feeling like a man who has hung one on but good. I looked into the mirror and I saw the face of another man. I looked in my wallet and discovered that I was Harold Janus, navigator for Intergalactic, holder of a license for 15 Gs. I wondered where it came from, how I got it, but I asked no questions. This license, this ident card, meant freedom. I walked out of the hotel feeling steady for the first time. I'd gotten my sea legs at last.
You have just heard X-1 presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, which this month features The Venus Trap by Evelyn E. Smith. One thing man never planned to take along into space with him was the eternal triangle, especially a true blue triangle like this one. Galaxy Magazine, on your newsstand today. Tonight, by transcription, X-1 has brought you Sea Legs, a story from the pages of Galaxy, written by Frank Petrocchi and adapted for radio by George Lefferts. Featured in the cast were William Redfield, James Stevens, Stan Early, Charles Penman, James Dukas, Richard Hamilton, Jack Orrison, Jack Grimes, Craig McDonald, Ralph Bell, Kermit Murdoch, and Frederica Chandler. Your announcer, Fred Collins. X-1 was directed by Daniel Sutter and is an NBC Radio Network production. Hear Politics and Primaries, Dateline, Ohio, and Indiana, tonight on NBC Radio.
In just a moment, X-1. But first, one man whose personality belies his name is Quizmaster Groucho Marx, because Mr. Marx is hardly one of the grouchy kind when it comes to welcoming guests and dispensing good humor on his Wednesday night quiz show, You Bet Your Life. Why don't you tune in and hear for yourself tomorrow? And while you're listening, don't forget that each Wednesday night there's more great entertainment when Jack Bailey and contestants play Truth or Consequences. And all of the staff on Airtime join stars Giselle McKenzie in bringing you top musical listening. Enjoy music and fun tomorrow night on this station. And now stay tuned for X-1 on NBC.
Countdown for blast off. X-5, 4, 3, 2, X-1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come transcribed tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in a million, could be years, on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, presents
X minus 1.
Tonight, the dramatization of a story by Jerry Soule, The Seventh Order. Brentwood, Illinois, would have been just about like any other average community of 10,000 had it not been for Presser College, one of the country's finest small institutions of learning. Its residents were used to the pranks, the hazings, and the practical jokes of the students. But even Professor Ansel Tomlin was surprised when the blue humanoid came down the street and up to the porch where the professor was sitting in an old wicker rocking chair.
Pardon me.
Of course.
You are Professor Ansel Tomlin.
Yes, and you, I take it, are somebody from one of my psychology classes dressed up as a sort of a robot.
No. I am George of Xanthar.
Who?
I am here to learn all I possibly can learn of the planet Earth and its inhabitants. Less than 10 minutes ago, I landed not far from here in a spaceship, which I subsequently blew up and destroyed.
Now, let me explain. I am Tomlin of Brentwood. Less than 10 minutes ago, I was sitting on my porch peacefully marking exam papers. I intend to resume right now. Helen, would you get the phone?
It is your wife's sister calling with reference to the explosion of my spaceship.
Sure it is.
She merely wants to ascertain that your family was not affected.
Listen, George, be a good fellow and...
Oh, Mike.
Well, don't be alarmed, dear. It's a fraternity initiation or something.
Oh, well, it does look like the real thing. Oh, did you know there was an explosion outside of town?
An explosion?
Yes, blast of undetermined origin is what they said on the radio.
Oh?
My sister just called. She heard about it in the local station and wanted to make sure we were all right.
I see.
Well, I have something in the oven. My goodness, that's a wonderful costume.
Her sister lives 20 miles away. How did you know she'd call?
My mind circuits are telepathic. They pick up all conscious thought to a distance of some 200 miles.
It couldn't be you arranged the whole thing, that it wasn't really her sister. How did you get here? Who or what are you?
I am a machine. The finest, most complicated machine ever made. I have a rather unique history, too.
Who made you?
Ages ago, on Xanthar, there was a race of humans. They made the first robots. Rather crude affairs. We classed them as first-order robots. They are still used for menial tasks to some extent.
And what order are you?
The highest, naturally. A seventh-order robot. Or rather, a humanoid. We are the first in which there is not an automatic, no harm to humans cutoff.
I begin to see.
You will become aware of the fact that I am superior to you and to the rest of your race. I need no oxygen. I am never ill. I need no sleep. Every experience is indelibly recorded on circuits and is instantly available.
Tell me, George, do you have feelings?
I have an electronically controlled endocrine balance.
It's very interesting. And what is your mission here on Earth?
For the moment, I am here to study. I will live with you until it is complete.
You will what?
I will live with you. I will be with you all of your waking hours. While you sleep, I will go through your library. I need nothing. I want nothing.
Just a moment. What about my privacy?
When you desire privacy, I will study someone else. Your wife, perhaps. The the females should be interested.
George, old man, I'm terribly sorry, but you'll have to wire back to your masters to make other arrangements.
That will be quite impossible.
Really?
You see, I have no master.
Well, what about those humans back in Xantha, the ones who invented you seventh-order humanoid?
Oh, they are all quite dead. We destroyed them.
Destroyed?
You look alarmed. It was, after all, they or us. You see, our endocrine system permits us pride in ourselves. Naturally, being proud of ourselves, we objected to being ordered about in an incompetent way. So,
you killed them?
Exactly. Now, shall we go inside and inform your wife of my visit?
Suppose I refuse.
Professor, do you see that small dog playing on the lawn across the street?
Yes.
I will lift my arm and point at it. Observe.
It vaporized.
Exactly. Now then, shall we go in?
Yes. We'll go in.
Oh, there you are. I see you brought your friend.
Helen, this is George. George of Xanthar. George is a machine.
Well, anybody can see that. It's the most convincing costume I ever saw.
Helen, it isn't a costume.
No?
No. He's really a machine.
Oh.
He's staying with us.
What?
Whether we like it or not.
Well, really, Ansel.
We have no choice.
I am a seventh-order humanoid. I detect that your mind does not comprehend. I am here as an advanced scout for my race. After we establish a station here on Earth...
I don't like this. Now, would you be kind enough to leave my house, young man?
You are very slow to comprehend.
I comprehend that I have a lot to do, and I'd appreciate it if you leave. Otherwise, I'm going to call the police.
You may call anyone you choose, Mrs. Thomas.
I'll have you arrested.
I assure you I can detect your intention long before you have time to do me any harm.
Well, we'll just see about this. Hello? Get me the police.
Helen, it's useless.
I can follow the call through the phone wire. Captain Townsend will answer.
Captain Townsend.
Captain, I want to report a robot.
A what?
A thing. It won't leave my house.
Who is this?
I'm Mrs. Tomlin, Professor Ansel Tomlin's wife, 44 Crescent Road.
I'll send a car over.
Now we'll see.
Is this the character that's been giving you trouble?
Yes, this is the one, officer.
Talked to you before about ruining the flower bed, Sonny. This time I'm taking you in.
I would advise you not to touch me. I cannot risk any damage.
Oh, see about that. Come on outside.
I prefer to remain here until I complete my mission.
You do, huh? You know what this is?
It is a weapon you call a service revolver.
That's right. And you'll either march out of here or I'll use it on you.
That would be most unfortunate.
All right, come on.
Officer, let me warn you. He's
March.
dangerous.
March now. I'll count to 3.
Officer, please.
1, 2.
Oh, no.
I regret it, but he was actually going to pull the trigger. Only to frighten me. But I cannot risk damage. He might have miscalculated and struck me with a bullet.
Ansel, I'm frightened.
There is no need for fear. You have only to accept the fact that the Seventh Order is coming to operate the planet for your benefit.
Helen, there's no use trying to do anything just yet. Now go next door to Mrs. Coleman. Tell her what's happened. I'll talk to George.
Oh, but I don't...
Please, Helen?
Well, all right.
Do you really think that you, a single robot, can conquer the Earth and make its people do your bidding?
I can.
Suppose it were demonstrated to you that you could not, that you could be destroyed.
If that were so, I would naturally report that this planet is unfit for development by the Seventh Order.
Well, you know they'll have you taken into custody for killing the officer.
I cannot permit it.
There will be needless slaughter.
Unless you can convince your people it is useless to attack me.
Will you let me try?
I have no desire to prevent you. Go ahead. I detect that you are going to call the newspapers and the local television station and hold a press conference.
Yes.
I also detect that you have a plan to overcome me.
Oh?
I like that.
Really?
Yes. You see, in order to test this planet for development, I must know whether any of you are truly dangerous to us. You are a superior type of man, Professor. I welcome any plan to conquer me that you care to attempt.
Okay, George. At least we know where we stand. I'll phone the newspapers.
Quiet! Quiet, please! Quiet!
Hold it down.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Henry Bennett, broadcasting from a sound truck parked in front of the home of Professor Ansel Tomlin in Brentwood, Illinois. At the moment, Professor Tomlin is seated on his front porch. Next to him is a strange-looking blue robot-type creature, also seated on a chair. At the moment, we don't know if this is a hoax or not, but Professor Tomlin, a highly respected man here at the university, has called a press conference to introduce what is supposedly a creature from another planet. Professor Tomlin is about to speak, and we'll try to catch his words.
Quiet, please. Gentlemen, I wish to present to you George of Xanthar. Yes, now, just a moment. George is a machine. Probably the most dangerous machine ever invented. He is telepathic as well. He can read your thoughts like a book. He knows exactly what each of you is thinking at this very instant.
Professor!
Yes?
Do you expect us to swallow this nonsense?
Not without proof, gentlemen.
Can George do his stuff for us? Let him tell me what I'm thinking right now.
You are thinking about a blonde young woman named Laura, with whom you will attend a show tonight.
Come on.
Well,
he happens to be right, but we've seen mind readers before. Let him do something else.
Now, I did not call you gentlemen here for a demonstration of magic. I called you here in the hopes that a good deal of needless bloodshed might be avoided. Less than half an hour ago, I watched this creature completely vaporize a policeman who was trying to arrest him. I expect that the authorities will be here any minute. I hope I can convince you and them that it is futile.
Well, I certainly do. Nothing like this done about a guy. Either you're nuts or you think we are. I don't believe this machine killed a cop. If a cop was killed, a human did it, trying to blame it on the machine.
Now, gentlemen, I don't know how I can prove it. Perhaps if George will demonstrate his ability to vaporize...
Observe the oak tree in the front yard. Now.
Now, do you see?
I see, but I don't believe it. Boys, this is some kind of mass hypnotism. Maybe the tree was rigged up in advance.
I swear to you that...
George of Xanthar is all he's cracked up to be. Let's see what he does when I toss a rock at him.
Don't be a fool.
Here goes, George!
Stop him! I warned you. I tried to warn you.
Okay, everybody stand back. Stand back. Charlie, get an automatic rifle set up. Check, Chief. Professor, I advise you to step away from that kid.
Captain, for your own sake, don't try anything.
Step away, Professor.
Very well, but I warn you.
Okay, now don't fire till I'm ready, boys.
Right.
Now then, George of What's-This? We don't know who's inside that tin suit, but I'm giving you just 10 seconds to come out.
Captain,
Hey, you're wanted on suspicion of murder. Now come out. All right, boys.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm afraid we'll have to terminate our broadcast. What started out as a good-natured hoax or publicity stunt has turned into a bloody massacre, as the bodies of some 6 policemen on the lawn of Professor Tomlin's home will attest. I don't know exactly what is happening here, but I can say this: George of Xanthar is no hoax. He or it is the spearhead of a race from outer space that's come to conquer the Earth.
Have they all gone, Helen?
Yes,
Where is he?
in your library, reading.
Are the policemen still outside the house?
They're walking up and down. Oh, I hope they don't.
Yeah, they have orders not to try to harm him.
Ansel,
Yes?
what are we going to do?
I don't know.
Oh, listen. He's coming.
Professor, Mrs. Tomlin, I have decided to walk through your town to learn more about its buildings and people.
And kill a few more humans?
Killing humans affords me no pleasure whatsoever. I kill only when damage to myself is possible. I hope that no one will attempt to harm me.
George, let me warn you now that this affair has gone beyond the confines of this town.
I am well aware of that, Professor. I am aware of a phone call being made this instant by your mayor to the commander of the Illinois State Guard.
If you're smart, you'll return to your ship and your planet.
My ship is destroyed. I could instruct you to build a new one, of course. But as I have no intention of leaving...
Then you will be destroyed.
No. I will destroy first.
Have you no conscience?
A conscience is a fifth-order failing. Needless baggage. Good evening.
Hello, Professor Tomlin. Yes. Yes, I will.
Who was it?
The mayor and the chief of police have called a meeting of the citizens of Brentwood at the college gymnasium tonight.
Ansel, you're not going.
I must.
But no...
Helen, there's much more at stake here than my life or yours. Civilization itself depends upon our standing up to this machine. I'm going to the meeting.
Gentlemen, as mayor of Brentwood, I call this meeting to order. As you know, there is loose in our city a being with one purpose, to prepare it for conquest by similar beings. I think Professor Tomlin can tell us most about this being.
If we could determine the source of George's power, he might be overcome. He is obviously vulnerable to force, such as a speeding bullet if it hit the right spot. However, he has the ability to read intent long before the commission of an act. He is probably listening to me now, even though he may be far away.
Now, Mr. Mayor, why not track him down and all attack at once? Some of us would probably die, but he couldn't strike us all dead at once.
Gentlemen, this humanoid is able to keep track of several hundred things simultaneously. As a matter of fact...
Gentlemen. You are working yourselves up neatly. You simply do not appreciate what it would mean to dedicate yourselves to the fulfillment of the seventh order destiny. Your lives will be made most pleasant and happy by us.
Yeah, why did you kill 6 cops? If they're so powerful, bring them back to life. How do you want to be buried, Roy? Yeah, let's get them,
And eyewitnesses report that in the end, when all were gone, George of Xanthar stood alone on the platform of the gymnasium. There was no movement except the twitching of the dead and those trampled by the crowd. Among the survivors was Professor Ansel Tomlin, who originally...
Well, that's that.
What next?
I don't know, Helen. I don't know.
Oh, what's that?
Sounds like an air raid alert.
That's peculiar. They didn't announce it.
Turn on the radio. Hurry.
We interrupt to bring you a special message. All residents of Brentwood are advised to go to their basements or convenient bomb shelters. The governor has announced that units of the National Guard have managed to corner the robot, George of Xanthar, in the town square. Tanks and mortars will be used in an attempt to destroy the creature. Again, go to your nearest bomb shelter.
Oh, dear.
They'll never be able to destroy him.
Well, where are you going?
Up to the roof.
The roof?
I can see the square from there.
Well, I'm coming with you.
Just as you like.
What's happening?
He's vaporizing every tank and gun they bring up.
Oh, Ansel, let's get away from here. Oh, what's that?
Those are Army jets. We'll see how effective he is now. Good Lord, a whole squadron up in smoke. It's no use. Can't you see? It's no use.
Ansel, come inside, please.
Oh, very well.
Oh, if only there was something we could do to tell him.
Not as long as he can read our every conscious thought before we can act.
What is it?
Our every conscious thought. thought. I wonder if...
What is it,
Nothing.
Ansel?
Nothing, Helen.
And the Army reports that the countryside around Brentwood is deathly still. The blue humanoid, George of Xanthar, is still standing in the middle of the town square, where he's been standing for 3 days now. We'll keep you informed of developments. The military urges everyone to keep calm and go about your business as usual. There is no danger to anyone who is not attacking the humanoid.
No danger. Wants to keep more of them from landing. Ansel, are you going to sit there with your head in your hands forever? Well, come have some dinner. Ansel?
Yeah, it might work.
Where are you going?
Washington.
What?
I'm going to Washington. Would you be good enough to pack my overnight bag? I can catch a plane out of Chicago in about 2 hours.
But why? What for?
I'm going to talk to the Pentagon.
What do you tell them?
I'm going to tell them to surrender to George of Xanthar.
Our microphones are here at the edge of the town square in Brentwood, Illinois today, ladies and gentlemen, to witness the most unusual spectacle of modern history. A discussion of terms whereby the United States of America may surrender to the humanoid George of Xanthar. For the occasion, an honor guard of 22 servicemen from all branches and all parts of the country has been chosen. In just a moment, the honor guard will accompany General of the Army's Walter Pitt, who will discuss the surrender. The honor guard is advancing to the edge of the square. The robot is standing there now, carefully eyeing the soldiers. Every ounce of his concentration seems to be going into it. Actually, we're told his telepathic circuits are probing their minds for some hint of danger. A thought, a flicker of an eyelash may be sufficient for him to vaporize all of them. General Pitt is about to speak.
George of Xanthar.
I hear you, General.
I have been instructed to consult with you about your intentions toward our country and the world in general, with a view to reaching some sort of agreement with you and others of your kind who you say will invade the earth. May I approach?
One moment. I perceive no intent to harm me. There is one man among your soldiers, however, who has an illogical thought. Will the soldier who is thinking the thought, 11 o'clock, step closer?
Do as he says.
Does 11 o'clock mean anything to you, soldier?
No, sir. It's running through my mind, but it don't mean a thing to me.
My examination of your thoughts tells me you speak the truth. Very well. We will proceed with the talk.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a tense moment. The general and the humanoid are discussing terms. The soldier who was questioned about the thought, 11 o'clock, has stepped back into the ranks and is holding his rifle at attention like the others. I perceive it's now 10:59 a.m. If there is any significance to the thought about which the soldier was questioned, we'll know in 1 minute.
We of Xanthar, gentlemen, would not want to improve a planet which could not be educated and would continually oppose our program. Therefore, I am glad to see your willingness to discuss. After my message goes out, there will be a landing party on Earth within a few days. While waiting for the party, however, there are certain preparations.
Just list them for us.
Your government will naturally have to turn over complete authority to us. Afterward, we will utilize your press and radio to disseminate our instructions to your people. Simultaneously, in other nations, the same procedure will be carried out by our Ladies
and gentlemen, it's happened at exactly 11 a.m. 10 soldiers in the honor guard instantaneously fired their weapons into George of Xanthar. Apparently explosive bullets have blown him to smithereens. The remains are lying scattered all over the square. People are pouring in, kissing each other, shouting.
Helen!
Ansel, you're home.
Yeah.
Oh, you've heard the news. Isn't it wonderful?
Wonderful, really wonderful. I'm sorry I couldn't come home sooner. It would have spoiled my whole plan if I got within telepathic range.
Your plan?
Yes.
But what? How? What?
Just a matter of simple psychology. Those men in the honor guard.
What about them? Did you know any of them?
Not exactly, but I did have the job of hypnotizing 10 of them.
Hypnotized?
That's right. You see, each of those men was hypnotized. And while he was under, we planted a post-hypnotic suggestion, namely, to fire at George of Xanthar when a soldier named Charlie started to cough. Charlie was told to cough at 11 o'clock. Before we released them from hypnosis, we told them to erase everything from their conscious memories. I was staking everything in the hope that George could only tune in on the conscious mind, not the subconscious, and it worked. Yeah, there was nothing to be reached by George's prying mind, so we never knew what was going to happen. At 11 o'clock, the soldier named Charlie coughed. The men raised their guns and fired. And that was the end of George of Xanthar. Now, if you don't mind, I've got some exam papers to mark.
On a planet many millions of miles away, a red light, one of many on a giant control board, suddenly winked out. A blue humanoid made an entry in a large book, System 29578. Planet 3 inhabited. Too dangerous for any kind of development. You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, which this month features the Alan Cogan story titled In the Cards. It was one thing to safeguard the future, but something else to see someone you love cry in terror 2 years from now. Galaxy Magazine on your newsstand today. Tonight, by transcription, X-1 has brought you The Seventh Order, a story from the pages of Galaxy written by Jerry Soule and adapted for radio by George Lefferts. Featured in the cast were James Monks, Nelson Olmsted, Kate Wilkinson, James Rafferty, Dick Hamilton, Reese Taylor, Jim Stevens, Robert Hastings, Wayne Chappell. The commentator was W.W. Chaplin. Your announcer, Fred Collins. X-1 was directed by Daniel Sutter and is an NBC Radio Network production.
The Wonderful World of Robert Benchley on Biography and Sound tonight on NBC Radio.
The Magic Island has become a place of dread terror and weird scientific happenings. Mrs. Gregory, Captain Bradford, and Jerry Hall are constantly watched by the mastermind of the strange colony on the Isle of Euclidia. Joan, the long-lost little daughter of Mrs. Gregory, has been found on the island and wants to escape with her mother and her new friends. But this seems impossible. Captain Bradford is confined in a cell. And as Jerry talks to him through the solid, yet translucent wall, the captain chokes, seizes his throat, and falls.
Captain Bradford! Tex! What happened to you? Oh, gee, I got to do... Joan told me not to touch this wall. It's charged with electricity. But I've got to do something for Tex. That crazy old scientist G47 has done this. I'll find him. Help! Somebody! G47! Joan! Mrs. Gregory! Help! Mrs. Gregory! Help!
Here I am, Jerry. What's the matter?
Come here quickly, Mrs. Gregory. Hurry!
What's happened, Jerry? You look badly shaken up.
Captain Bradford. Tex, in the cell. Something choked him.
Oh.
He choked and fell down.
Where is he now?
Right here, in this cell.
We've got to do something for him.
Don't touch that wall. It's charged. I didn't go in there, but here comes C-47 now. He'll know what to do.
Did he do this to Tex?
I think so. Tex and I were talking about...
What is all the screaming about, you young fool? What is going on here?
You know what's going on.
What have you done to Captain Bradford?
I have done nothing to him. I have ways of knowing what is going on in the cells. I heard this young fool and the captain plotting against me.
But what did you do to the captain?
I did nothing to him.
You did, too. He was talking to me, then he started to choke. He grabbed his throat and fell over.
So? There is something wrong here. Come with me. We'll have a look in this cell. I ordered nothing done. It is possible that one of my assistants ordered the gas turned into the cell accidentally.
Hurry, then. He may be dead by now.
That would depend on what kind of gas was given.
He started to turn black in the face.
That is bad. We must hurry. You may come in also.
Look out. Don't touch that wall.
Have no fear. When you ran screaming from the cell, I had the current turned off. We will enter.
Oh, Tex. Tex, what happened to you, Tex?
Keep your face away from his, madame. If it is the lethal gas, one breath of it from his respiratory organs in their natural constriction and you would be... Oh, no. He breathes. Strange. What could have happened?
Well, let's do something.
Yes, anything, only hurry.
Oh, something is amiss here. I have never had an accident like this. You, young man.
Yes?
Do you know artificial respiration?
Sure I do.
Administer it at once. I have cut all communication to this cell. I must return to my quarters to establish contact with the laboratory again. I will have aid here in less than 90 seconds.
Work fast, Jerry. I know how to do it. Let me help.
Quiet, both
Why,
of you.
he texted you.
Quiet, I said. We have just about a minute. He said all communication was cut off from this cell, so no one will overhear us. I'm all right. Just faked this so Jerry would run out yelling and give us this chance.
You sure scared me.
All right, hurry. You have a plan, Tex. What is it?
We'll never get this chance again, so listen closely. At all other times, they can see and hear all we do, no matter where we are on the island or on the yacht. But they must have something to protect themselves against the very thing they have developed.
I don't see...
I do. They figure someone else might be smart enough to invent rays and beams and all that, and they have something that will stop all those things.
Exactly, son. Now, here's a plan. We'll find out what that material is. It's either cloth, wood, or metal which shields out all rays and cannot be dissolved by gases or light rays. And sound and visibility will not penetrate it. We'll get our hands on some of that stuff. Pick an excuse to spend our time on the yacht, smuggle that material aboard, and use it to shield our radio while we signal the world, or escape from here. Now, you got all that?
Every word of it. And I'll get G47 to take me on a tour of all the machines and laboratories and find out what it is.
I'll work too, Tex. Maybe Joan will know.
Quiet. I think I felt a vibration through these walls. Work on me, quick.
Gee, Mrs. Gregory, he's breathing all right, but he doesn't seem to wake up very fast.
Oh, Jerry, what can we do? Why doesn't help come?
There is no need to worry, madame. And you, Hall, you may cease trying to tear the captain's arms out by the roots.
What's it all about?
We can't wake him. Do something for him.
If he dies, I'll get you for this G47.
Your threats are foolish, and you know it. You cannot harm me.
Never mind that. What happened to Tex?
One of my assistants in the laboratory R3 was working with a new 800-second paralyzing ray. A beam of it must have escaped and cut through this cell.
Then Captain Bradford will be all right?
You mean he'll come out of it just like Joan and I did?
Yes, he will. If it was the 800-second ray, he should be over the effects of it in just 20 seconds. As I figure it from the time you screamed.
Did you time it exactly when I screamed?
Naturally. Our disturbance indicator records every slight shock, even of a voice. Records it to the fraction of a second. And all our personal chronometers are synchronized with that.
Golly, what a place this is. A wristwatch is a personal chronometer.
One thing is exactly the same here as in your world.
I'd like to know what it is.
A talkative young fool.
What are you two arguing about now?
Oh, Tex, what happened to you?
Oh, we were scared. I saw you start to choke and fall.
Jerry ran for me. Then we got G47. He says it was an accident.
I don't like your accidents, Chief.
It was entirely an accident. Nothing will happen to you. Nothing of a serious nature. so long as you remain quiet and do not attempt to escape. Oh, but this is most irregular.
It's irregular enough for me, all right. I'm not in the habit of choking myself to sleep.
Ah, that is the irregularity I refer to. You, Jerry Hall, when the 60-second ray was turned on you, you did not choke, did you?
Why, no. Ouch!
Oh, sorry I kicked you, kid. Guess I'm a little clumsy from my nap.
Answer the question, Jerry. G47 is trying to find out something about what happened to Captain Bradford. And answer it carefully.
Very good, madame. I see you are learning the necessity for accuracy in our work.
Well, if there's liable to be any more accidents like this, I think we should all help to clear it up.
Very good. Well, Hall, answer my question. Did you feel a choking sensation from the ray?
I guess I did. I don't know. I did a little, but it happened so quickly. Well, I didn't have time to try and move like Captain Bradford did.
Oh, yes. I think that will be it. You were directly in the path of the ray when I used it on you. But this was a stray beam that escaped from the laboratory. And it must have struck Captain Bradford at a tangent. Then as he fell, he got the full force of the center of the beam.
Well, whatever it was, I've had about enough of it. Shall we go to the yacht now and make ourselves comfortable? You know we haven't any quarters ashore yet.
I was going to suggest that you make your home on the yacht for the time. Some of my assistants have been busy there. You will be observed just as if on the island. And I think you know now what that means.
It means that you can see and hear all we do when you want to. And it would be foolish to try to escape.
Exactly. I may build you permanent quarters on the island tomorrow. But it takes nearly 1,800 seconds to build a proper apartment for a lady. I cannot spare my assistants tonight.
Boy, half an hour to build a house and he's too busy.
All right, may we go now? I said, where is he?
He's gone, just like a breath.
You forget, you can step through any of these walls if the juice is turned off. The walls all move without a sound.
Good boy, Jerry. Keep a level head on your shoulders. We mustn't let this weird stuff get us to believing in ghosts.
That wouldn't be hard to do after seeing and hearing these things. But we must remember that these people are merely clever scientists. And all they have done, we can do.
Now you're talking, Mrs. Gregory. We can figure it all out if we don't get too excited. And I do believe one thing that old Frankenstein told us.
Well, he doesn't bluff. And in his position, he doesn't have to lie to us. So we'd better believe all he tells us.
Yeah, but I meant what he said about being safe as long as we don't try to escape. It was surely lucky you kicked me when we were talking about... Ouch! Oh, gee, I'm sorry.
Watch it, son. Now, Pat, you and Jerry come with me. We'll go back to the yacht for the night.
I wonder if they'd let Joan stay on the yacht with us. If not, I'll spend the night with her on the island.
I imagine it'd be all right, unless she knows too many things about the island. Things she might tell us.
I'll go see G47 and ask him.
May I go, please? You and Captain Bradford go down to the yacht, and I'll get Joan and bring her down there.
We'll hurry over to the yacht, Tex. I can fix my cabin up nicely for Joan, and I want to get some pictures to show her.
Funny place, this island. Seemed about half a mile when we sailed around it, but it's only a few steps to walk across it.
They've certainly used every inch of space here. The whole thing is weird, even the names. Euclidia, G47, Cleostra. Oh, Tex, if we ever get back to the world, what a story we can tell. If we ever get back.
We'll get back. Jerry and Joan ought to be able to find what we were discussing.
There are the lights of the yacht. Yonder. I wonder where the skipper is.
Nothing would get him excited. He's probably having a good sleep in his bunk, waiting to wake up and find it all a dream. Well, here we are, just as we left it. What? Oh, the glasses again, eh?
Someone took my glasses off, too. I didn't even brush against my skin.
But why didn't we see someone before the glasses were taken off?
There are many things on this island that even these glasses will not aid you to see. The young fools will be with you in a moment. Sleep well, my friends. I will watch over you. I will watch over you.
Yes, and he will, too. It looks almost hopeless, Pat.
Now, Tex, remember your own advice. Don't lose your head.
Oh, I know it's all a lot of clever tricks, but they get on your nerves. Those glasses disappearing, for instance. G47 merely had to paint his hands and face, or Wore a mask or gloves of some material which would not reflect visible rays through those glasses we had on.
We're going to be allowed to see just what they want us to see, and no more.
The whole deck sure sounds good after walking without making a sound for so long.
Sounds like we were back in our own world again.
When Jerry and Joan got here... Say, Pat, I've got it. You remember what we decided?
You mean what we could use to...
Yes. Well, Joan has it. Has it with her right now.
I don't understand.
You will. In less than a minute, I'll be talking to you. And nobody on this island will hear what I say.
When Jerry Hall, Mrs. Gregory, and Captain Bradford sailed from Los Angeles in search of a mysterious hidden island, they found Mrs. Gregory's long-lost little girl, Joan. The rest of their discoveries are almost unbelievable. The Gregory yacht was pulled to the island by a powerful magnetic force and is now tied up there, with all on board prisoners of the mad scientist, G-47. Mrs. Gregory and Joan are in one cabin on the yacht, while Captain Tex Bradford and Jerry talk excitedly in the radio cabin.
Yeah, I got it all right, but I still don't see where it's going to do us any good.
Joan didn't come to the door of the cabin, did she? I mean, so that anyone could see she had her mother's dress on?
No, she was so scared of what old G-47 would do to her when he found out we had the dress, well, that she was ready to hide under the bunk.
Well, we'll see to it that G-47 doesn't have a chance to do anything to her. Now, we'll have to work fast, because by now someone on the island probably knows we have the dress and heard all we said about it. So hurry and get your head into it. No, not that way. Just pull the skirt over your head. That's better. Now I'll get under it, too.
Good thing these dresses are plenty big and loose. But it's going to be mighty hot in there awful quick.
And we'll be done with our little job mighty quick.
What good can we do with this dress? You said just now they'd know we had it.
We've got to hurry, so listen closely while I explain it.
This is the nuttiest thing I ever heard of. What would people think if they could see us with a girl's dress wrapped around our heads, using it for a hood?
Well, it may sound foolish, but the material of this dress of Jones is the first ray of hope we've had. Now we can talk in safety and make a few plans for the first time since we hit this island. I knew there must be some way to talk in privacy here.
You mean the stuff this dress is made of will keep out the sound waves? Or whatever it is they use to hear everything that goes on around here?
Yes, Jerry, I'm sure of it. You know, a good scientist never compounds a poison without knowing the antidote. For his own protection, if nothing else. Likewise, a good scientist would never devise a weapon, gas, beam, or ray, one that would be almost universally penetrating or destructive, without first protecting himself, should his own invention ever be turned against him.
But those sound waves they hear through walls and clothing, they're not destructive. Well, they don't hurt anybody, even if they do let old G-47 hear all we say.
That's true, but it makes everyone on this island virtually a prisoner. No one has any privacy, even in your own room. Every sound and action is recorded somewhere in their laboratories. Nevertheless, we may safely reason that G-47 and his leading assistants, the brains of this mad setup, must have privacy. They conduct their experiments and discuss plans without the remainder of the colony hearing them. They must.
But how do you figure the cloth this dress is made of is the stuff they do it?
Every suit and dress on the islands, every bit of cloth I've seen here is the same stuff.
But G-47 put Joan to sleep with that harmless ray just as easy as he did me. And her dress is made of that stuff.
Yes, but if you had been awake to see her get the ray, you would probably have seen him point at her head or hands.
What is this cloth, anyway? I mean, where did they get it?
We'll find out in time, but let's hurry with this plan. Someone might decide to board the yacht just to make sure we're behaving ourselves.
Okay, Tex. What are we going to do?
All right, here's the setup. When we get out from under this dress, we'll take it and put it over the radio. Be sure it's under and around the whole thing.
I got it. Then one of us can put our head inside the dress and work the set. And G-47 can't tell we're doing it.
I'm going to let you do this. You know what to say to Johnson if you get him. Give him our position and say to stand by for information on how to rescue us. Tell him not to attempt rescue without instructions.
Gee, then what can Johnson do if I do get word to him?
He can't do anything now, but we've got to figure how to get control of the power on this island. We could use their knowledge for the greatest scientific age in the world. But I feel sure that their intentions are not to aid the world, but to destroy it.
Oh, golly. Let's get going.
Now operate the set on the usual wavelength, and I'll set the directional beam reflector due north. We're outside of the listening post around the inner circle of the island, and this beam won't make the slightest disturbance anywhere except due north. The set is all warmed up now.
All ready now?
All ready, son. And we'll just slip out from under this thing and cover the set with it. Then I'll go out on deck and stroll near this cabin door in case everyone gets curious. Go to it, and don't talk to me again. Don't say anything until you're covered up with that set. Inside this dress now. Then send the message. Now, out we go.
Gee, it's a mighty tight squeeze in here. Guess I'm ready to go. J12C, J12C, J24Y to J12, Jerry Hall on J24Y, calling J12C. Hello, Johnson. Hello, J12. Oh, golly, something's wrong. I can't raise him. Well, guess I'll just have to try again. J12C. Hello.
To J24Y. Hello, J24. Go ahead, Jerry. Go ahead.
Boy, here he is. Hello, J12C. This is Jerry Hall on J24Y. Captain Bradford wants you to get this. Copy it. Repeat. Then stand by. Here it is. Our position. Latitude 29 degrees south. Longitude 124.30 west. Danger here, but do not attempt rescue. Stand by for information on how to rescue us. Get that? Do not attempt rescue without information. Repeat, J12.
J12C to J24Y. Repeating. Your position, 29 degrees south, 124 degrees, 30 minutes west. You are in danger. Standing by for information how to rescue. Confirm, repeat.
Okay, J12. Repeat, okay. Jerry Hall standing by for Captain Bradford. That's all, J12. Now I can get out of this dress. Oh, boy. That feels better.
Hello, kid. How did you enjoy your rest?
Oh, I had a swell sleep, Tex. I dreamed I used this radio set again, but nobody was spying on me. I talked to Johnson in Los Angeles, and he knows we're here.
Great dream, son, but there's no chance of it ever coming true the way we're watched. G47 knows all we say and do. I wonder.
Maybe it's one of the crew.
No, they're all asleep.
Shall I open it?
Wait a minute. I'll hide the dress.
Oh, heck.
I might have known it.
You must pardon my rudeness in entering unbidden, but as long as anyone could have seen and heard all you were doing through the portholes you so kindly left open in every cabin, I surmised you were not discussing anything secret.
Just discussing our situation here and wondering how long it'll be before we can get away from this island. You knew we would be discussing that without my telling you.
Precisely. And even if I could not see that you have Cleostra's dress there, I would know that the material of the dress had been used for some purpose.
How would you know that?
Never mind that, Jerry. It's enough that he knows we were using it. And, of course, he knows why we were using it.
You displayed some small intelligence in your ideas about the material, Captain. And you have undoubtedly discovered that the fabric is impervious to beams and rays of our sound and light transmission spectrum.
I have. That didn't take much figuring.
Tomorrow, you may visit the laboratories where the fabric is made. You may have enough of it to drape the inside and outside of this boat, if you wish. I have no desire to intrude upon your privacy. I merely came to warn you that while your childish and unsuccessful attempts to reach the outside world merely amuse me, your first successful attempt will mean your end.
Well, we're going to try it just the same. You can't get away with this forever, and you know it.
Steady now, Jerry. No use losing your head about it. Well, G47, I want to tell you plainly that if there is any way I can get my friends out of your grasp, I'm going to attempt it.
You are a fool, Captain. A brave one, possibly, but nevertheless a fool. Your life would mean nothing to me.
I happen to know better, for I have something you want.
Yes, you clever meddler, you have. And you know that I will keep you alive until I wrest your secret from you. The only thing in the universe we Euclideans have failed to master. And as long as you live, I know that in some way, at some time, I will get your secret.
Well, you can't torture it out of me, and you're not a magician. How will you do all this?
The time will come when you will be glad to exchange your secret for the freedom of your friends and yourself.
Nothing doing on that. If Captain Bradford has something you want, we'll stay right on your island for the rest of our lives. All of us. But you'll never get it.
You see how it is, G47? You're just wasting your breath.
Yes, and Joan wants to stay with her mother and the rest of us. She belongs to our world, and she's going back to it with us.
Cleostra may stay with you, and she will save you a lot of worry by telling you as much about the island in an hour as you could learn by watching us work for a month. But she will have to be content with your descriptions of the world. She will never see it, except as a loyal subject of Euclidia, when we Euclideans rule the universe.
Do you mind going now? We've got things to do, and your boasting and bragging gets on my nerves.
It is a pleasure to leave such hopeless company.
Well, maybe we're not as hopeless as you think.
Quiet, Jerry.
You need not warn the boy, Captain. I heard his little radio message to Johnson.
Gee, the dress was no good, Tex.
So, the dress didn't work, eh?
The material of the dress worked perfectly, but your radio beam was intercepted as it passed through our magnetic fog.
Well, then, if you heard my message to Johnson, why did you let me give him our position and warn him of our danger?
Don't you know that radio message will bring a fleet of battleships down on you if anything happens to us?
On the contrary, you have protected me nicely. Johnson will take orders and execute them accurately. You ordered him not to move in your rescue. Your position means nothing. You had previously given him that as the yacht was held to the magnetic fog. If you had not tried this wild scheme tonight, there was a chance your Los Angeles agents might have acted on their own incentive to rescue you. But you have blocked that yourself. You have prevented your own rescue, and I will prevent your rescue.
The program you are about to hear is largely fiction, science fiction. We make no guarantees, however, how long it will remain fiction.
Exploring tomorrow. And now here is your guide to these adventures of the mind, John Campbell, Jr.
The problem of dealing with robots is a rather peculiar thing. You know, when you deal with another human being, you can say, well, you know what I mean. And he can say, yeah, I see what you mean. When you're dealing with a robot, though, you have a different situation. If you say, you know what I mean, the robot says, no, tell me. The trouble with the robot is that it will always do exactly what you tell it, whether it makes sense or not. It has no judgment whatever. For instance, an automobile is a robot. You tell it to drive straight ahead, it drives straight ahead, right into the concrete bridge abutment. It doesn't have any sense. Another thing, if we say home is the hunter, to a man this makes sense. We think of the poem as a quotation. What would such a phrase mean to a robot?
A report from James Martin, Special Agent to the Director of the United Nations Intelligence Service, February 19, 1993. Dear Chief, I hope you had a happy St. Valentine's Day. I wish I could say the same for myself. The way it looks now, the only Valentine I'll get will be one with my epitaph on it. I hope this report reaches you eventually. You may never get it, or if you do, I may be dead by then. Maybe it was a good idea to take this section of Europe and reform the country of Transylvania again, but right now I'm inclined to doubt it. Since Transylvania became a new country, there have been queer things going on here. As for your instructions, I got an appointment to see Baron Decklitz, the Prime Minister. When the appointment came through, I was met at the front door of my hotel by Colonel Bronlick, the head of the Transylvanian Secret Police.
Ah, Mr. Martin. I was instructed to escort you to Castle Decklitz. You have an appointment with the Baron, I believe.
Yes, that's right. And you are...
I am Colonel Bronlick at your service, Mr. Martin. Come. This is our limousine here at the curb.
Well, this is very kind of you, Colonel.
Kind? Not at all. It is my duty. You are an agent of the United Nations. It is therefore my duty to escort you about, especially when you are going to call on our Prime Minister, Baron Decklitz.
I see. I suppose we'll have to wait for your chauffeur.
Oh, not at all, Mr. Martin. This is a robot-operated automobile. Observe. I merely press this button.
Yes, Colonel Bronlick.
Drive us to the Castle Decklitz.
Yes, sir.
Well, Mr. Martin, do we not have all the modern conveniences here in Transylvania?
Oh, yes, very modern. You'll have telephones next. We have robot-operated machines in my country, too, Colonel, but I must admit that none of them are capable of talking as this one does.
You find that unusual?
Well, yes. A robot brain capable of conversation would be too large to fit in this automobile.
The brain is not in this car, Mr. Martin. This vehicle is guided by remote control. The actual brain of the robot is in an underground chamber beneath the Castle Decklitz.
Oh?
Yes. The Baron's castle may look on the outside as though it were 1,000 years old, but the equipment within is quite modern.
Well, I have to admit that it's pretty convenient to have robot-operated remote-controlled transportation.
All of the Baron's transportation works this way. His cars, his aircraft, his boats, everything.
Sounds as though Baron Decklitz runs the whole country by remote control. With a robot like that around, it's a wonder he needs any human helpers.
Mr. Martin, I will thank you not to criticize the government of Transylvania.
Sorry, I didn't mean to offend. After all, I am supposed to be a diplomat.
You might try harder, Mr. Martin.
Why is the car slowing down, Colonel?
Do you see the portcullis? That heavy steel grate that closes the entrance? That, too, is controlled by the robot brain.
The Baron certainly seems to be well guarded.
Very well guarded, indeed, Mr. Martin. It is difficult for anyone to get into Castle Decklitz. It is even more difficult to get out.
Exploring Tomorrow continues in just a moment.
All of us as American citizens believe in our inherent liberties and freedoms, such as the freedom for educational, social, and economic opportunity. Our American system of education is the fertile soil which feeds the roots of democracy. By teaching us to think for ourselves, it has given us a deeper understanding of life around us and the ability to regulate our thoughts and opinions. But we must always be alert to the fact that with this freedom comes a responsibility, the responsibility of using our opportunities to their best advantage so that we benefit from them not only as individuals, but as a united nation. Accept that responsibility and ensure your freedom.
United Nations agent Jim Martin had managed to get an appointment to see Baron Decklitz, Prime Minister of the newly formed country of Transylvania. But now that he had gotten inside the Baron's castle, he was beginning to see what was wrong with the new country. Because the castle itself was nothing more nor less than a huge robot. He had managed to get inside a robot.
That castle was a real nightmare. There were hidden television cameras everywhere, and they all relayed everything they saw to that big brain in the cellar. No matter where a man might go in that castle, he was never out of the sight of those robotic eyes. Colonel Bronlick escorted me into a big, comfortable, ultra-modern room, told me to help myself to the sherry, and left me to wait for Baron Decklitz. I went over to the bar. But there were no glasses there, no bottle of sherry. I thought that maybe the colonel was having a little joke, when suddenly a voice came from a wall speaker.
What would you like to drink, sir?
Oh, a glass of sherry.
Yes, sir.
panel slid open in the wall and a glass of sherry came out. Good evening, Mr. Martin. No. Don't bother to rise. Sit down. Now, how may I help you? Good evening, Your Excellency. May I present my identification?
No, stop. Before you put your hand in your pocket, Mr. Martin, let me warn you not to try to draw a gun. I assure you that if you tried it, you would be detected by my robot and you would be shot down where you stand long before you could aim your own gun. A robot can think and act much faster than a human being can, Mr. Martin.
Well, I didn't come here to kill you, Baron. I'm not an assassin. I'm here on United Nations business.
Yes, I am aware of that. I merely wanted to warn you. And now, please, your identification.
Yes, here it is, sir.
Thank you. Yes, that seems to be in order. Now, what business does the United Nations have with the Prime Minister of Transylvania?
Well, I'll be frank with you, Baron. There's something wrong here in Transylvania. The UN doesn't interfere with the internal government of its members unless the government is violating the basic rights of its citizens. Well, frankly, sir, Transylvania is doing just that.
You impudent young swine! Transylvania is a scientifically run country. It is run by mathematically logical principles. All decisions of the government are analyzed carefully by robotic computers.
Well, yes, but...
You think I make the policy for the country? No! All policy decisions are made by the robots, so that they can be scientifically accurate.
What happened? The lights went out.
The power has been cut off. Someone... Oh, Martin, you shot me. You cut off the power so my robot could not operate.
Baron.
I will get you, Martin.
When the lights came on again a second or two later, the Baron was sprawled on the floor. I looked around the room, but I couldn't see anyone. I hadn't shot the Baron. I didn't even carry a gun. Whoever had killed him made a clean getaway so far. I knew I had to get out of there, too. Just before the power went off, I'd been arguing with the Baron. When the robot came to, it would shoot me down with the hidden automatic guns in the walls. I had to get out of the castle decklets. When I got outside, I saw that the steel gate in the side wall of the castle was open. Nearby was the car that had brought us in. The keys were in the ignition. I got inside fast. I gunned the car toward the gate. Just as I came near, the gate began to close. And just as I went through the gate, it slammed shut. I breathed easier after that. At least I'd managed to get out of the castle decklets. But I'd forgotten one thing. When the car started to slow up, I pushed down harder on the accelerator. But it didn't help. Hey, what's going on? The car's turning around. I can't control it. It's taking me back to the castle.
A machine, no matter how complex and intelligent it may appear, is still a machine. The trouble with a machine is that once it's set to do a particular job, it doesn't do any good to argue with it. The only way to stop it is to shut it off or wreck it. Jim Martin was in no position to do either. It was kind of like being in an automatic elevator with the controls stuck. It was going where it was going, and there wasn't anything you could do about it.
I knew I'd have to get out of that car. It wasn't going very fast yet, so I decided to jump before it got up too much speed. I rolled across the road. It shook me up a little to jump out of a moving car, but I wasn't hurt. I got up, brushed off the dirt, and started down the road toward the city. I was about 5 miles away through the thick forest and about 6 miles by road. I decided to follow the road. I didn't want to get lost. I'd been walking about 10 minutes when I heard a noise. It was a helicopter coming from the direction of the castle. I got off the road fast and hid under a tree. It was dark, and even with the moon shining, it would have been hard for a human being to spot me from the air. But the television eyes of that helicopter were sharper than human eyes. The robot saw me.
You must come back to the castle, sir.
Not me, Buster.
The helicopter will land. You will get in.
The moon lit up the helicopter pretty well. I could see the snouts of the mounted machine guns pointing at me, but I didn't care. I figured that going back to the castle would be certain death anyway. I jumped behind the tree and then dived under a nearby bush and started crawling.
Where are you? You must come back.
I just lay flat and kept quiet. And then I heard another sound on the road. There was a car coming.
Robert, this is Colonel Bromley. I noticed the helicopter hovering, so I came immediately. Is the murderer Martin nearby?
Yes, he is somewhere in the woods to your right.
Excellent. I have a squad of men here. We will capture him.
Yes, he must go back to the castle.
All right, men. Spread out. Cover the whole area. He must be somewhere close by. Turn on the searchlight.
I knew they'd spot me soon. There was a spotlight moving near me. I decided that my only chance was to run for it. If I stayed where I was, I'd die. Here goes.
There he is! Stop him! Shoot him down!
It was the craziest gun battle I'd ever seen. Before the soldiers could shoot me, the helicopter's weapons had gunned them down. And while it was doing that, Colonel Bromley had climbed back into his armored car and shot down the helicopter with the turret gun. By the time the whole thing was over, I was well hidden in the underbrush. Pretty soon I heard the armored car drive away. But I just stayed where I was. It didn't make sense. Why had the robot's helicopter shot down the soldiers? Whose side was the robot on, anyway? I decided that since everything was quiet now, I'd better get moving. I wanted to get to the city by dawn. So I crawled out from my hiding place and headed for the road again. I didn't get far.
Put up your hands, Mr. Martin.
Colonel Bromley, I didn't see you behind that tree. I thought you'd driven off in the armored car.
Oh, no. As soon as I shot down the helicopter, the robot brain took control of the car. I jumped out.
I suppose you're going to shoot me like you shot the Baron?
Of course. The robot is convinced that you killed the Baron. And so will the people of Transylvania be convinced. And I will proclaim myself the new Prime Minister.
No wonder this country's in trouble. The Baron was a crackpot, and so are you. What? Well, looks like the robot has another helicopter to operate.
Good. The robot can kill you and save me the trouble.
Well, I don't think so. Have you figured out why the other helicopter shot down your men instead of shooting down me?
An accident. The robot could not see well in the dark. Perhaps I should not have shot it down, but it was obviously faulty.
Oh, you're not thinking straight tonight, Colonel.
You must get in the helicopter, Mr. Martin. You must go back to the castle.
Oh, well, I'm afraid I can't do that. If I move, the Colonel will shoot me.
That cannot be permitted.
Well, thanks, Robert, old boy. That's the end of the man who shot the Baron.
That does not concern me. My orders are to bring you back alive. Get in the helicopter, please.
Anything you say, pal. Let's go. The helicopter took me back to the castle decklets. When it landed in the courtyard, the robot had more orders for me.
Go into the main hall. The Baron wants you.
I walked back to the room where the Baron had been shot. My hunch had been right. The Baron, stubborn old cuss, had refused to believe that he was dying. He wanted to teach me a lesson. So he'd given the robot orders to bring me back alive. Alive. So that meant that if anyone threatened my life, the robot would have to stop them. And it used its automatic machine guns to do it. It didn't matter to the robot that the Baron was dead. As long as the Baron's hand was on that control button, the robot had to obey its orders. It had hunted me down and brought me back. I walked over to the control panel and talked into the microphone. Robot, you will obey my orders now.
Yes, sir.
Very well. As soon as I leave here, you will cease operation. You will turn yourself off. You will never operate again. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now I'm going to go out and take one of the Baron's cars. He won't need it. That about winds up the report, Chief. I hope I'll be able to deliver it to you. I'm in my hotel room right now, but there's rioting in the streets outside. Transylvania has been turned upside down. Nobody knows who killed their Prime Minister, Baron Decklet, nor do they know who machine-gunned Colonel Bromley. But the worst trouble is with the robot. You see, the Baron had the idea he could run the whole country with a robot. It was supposed to be a scientific form of government. That robot ran almost everything in the whole area. It controlled the power plants, the telephones, transportation, even the garbage disposal. And ever since it shut itself off, nothing has worked in the whole country. As a result, Transylvania has no government and no organization. The idea of running a government by machine was a failure.
The trouble with a lot of very logical and honest people is that they think that logic is both necessary and sufficient, when it's really only necessary. The idea of a machine government was a failure. It always will be. The trouble with the Baron was that he forgot one basic thing. It's sane for men to run machines, but it's insane for a machine to run men. Machines can handle truth and do a perfect job of it, but they cannot handle judgment. They have none.
Heard in our cast tonight were Larry Haynes and Don Douglas. Script was by Randall Garrett. Produced and directed by Sanford Marshall here in New York. Bill Maher speaking.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. Look! Up in the sky! It's a bird!
It's a plane!
It's Superman!
Yes, it's Superman, strange visitor from another world, who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. Superman, who can change the course of mighty rivers, bend steel in his bare hands, and who, disguised as Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth, justice, and the American way. But before we join Superman, here is an important message. Fellows and girls, have you ever seen a squadron of American bombers roaring through the air in formation? Have you seen newsreel pictures of Uncle Sam's destroyers cutting through the seas on patrol in search of enemy subs and surface raiders? I'm sure you have. And I bet you were thrilled. You probably felt terribly proud, too. Well, if you've been buying war-saving stamps regularly, you have a right to be proud. Not only because those planes and those ships represent the fighting spirit of America, but because you helped to build them. Yes, sir. Every time you bought a war-saving stamp, your money helped buy the labor and materials that are used to make planes and ships and equipment to knock out the Nazis and the Japs. So, next time you hear some boy or girl on your block say, "Oh, shucks, what difference does it make if I buy one stamp or not? What difference can one dime make?" You tell them that it does make a difference. It makes a big difference. Tell them, for instance, that 5 dimes will buy enough fuel oil to take an American destroyer 1 full mile closer to its objective, or that 1 dime will buy 5 .45 caliber bullets. Tell them that if every boy and girl in the United States bought just 1 10-cent war-saving stamp every day, it would add up to enough money to buy a lot of swift pursuit planes, with which our Army and Navy forces could blast the Axis out of the air. And while you're at it, you might remind them that this is one way that all you fellows and girls can help to win this war. Now, after all, everybody can't join Uncle Sam's armed forces, but all of us can buy war-saving stamps.
So talk it over with Mother and Dad tonight. Tell them you want to help Uncle Sam win this war by buying war-saving stamps regularly, every single day if possible. And I'm sure they'll be glad to cooperate. And now, the adventures of Superman.
Superman and his companions in adventure, Jimmy Olsen, Lois Lane, and Editor Perry White of the Daily Planet, are now on an expedition headed by the eccentric Dr. Leander Cameron to find the lost continent of Atlantis, believed to be lying at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. In our last episode, we heard how Dr. Cameron's multi-depth submarine in bathysphere was attacked by a Nazi U-boat, and how Jimmy Olsen was critically injured. Superman saved our friends from harm, and carefully holding the injured Jimmy under one arm, grasped the Nazi sub with his free hand and flew with them to a Navy base 600 miles away. We resume our story today at the home of a Navy doctor at a certain American naval base. Our scene, the living room of the doctor's home. The doctor is seated in a chair reading a book as the telephone rings urgently. Yes? Yes, it's Dr. Crane. Lieutenant Forbes calling from the basin. I'll put him through. Hello. Yes, Lieutenant. What's that? A man dressed in a red cape and a blue... brought an enemy submarine in and left it. Flying. Carrying the submarine in his hands. Now, Lieutenant, have you been... He's on his way here. But that's impossible. No man can fly without a plane. Now, wait a minute. There's someone at the door now. I'll call you later. All right, I'm coming. Yes, what is it you... Great Scott. A man in a red cape and a blue
No
suit.
time for descriptions, Commander. This boy is critically injured. You've got to do something.
But where? How?
Please, Commander, I'll explain later. Right now, this boy is critically injured.
Yes, of course. Come in. Now then. Bring the boy into my operating room. In through here.
Yes, Commander. Yes.
How did all this happen?
Never mind that. The boy's suffering from a severe blow on the head. Following it, he bled from the nose and ears.
Sounds like a fractured skull. Put him on the table.
Yes. Oh, there, Jim. Everything's going to be all right.
Yeah, let me get his coat. Yeah. Who are you, sir? I told you flew in carrying a submarine in one hand and this boy in the other.
I'm called Superman.
Superman? Of course. I've heard of you, but I seriously doubted that you could exist. And to see you with my own eyes, Oh. Boy's pulse is very low. I'd better give him a stimulant. How did the accident occur?
Does that matter?
No, I suppose not. I'm just interested in knowing. Seem a little upset yourself.
I am. I'm worried. If this boy dies...
Yeah, we'll do our best to save him. Roll back his sleeve, please. I'll have this hypodermic ready in a second or two.
All right.
All right. There. That ought to help him a bit. I'll have to take an x-ray of his head. I've got to be absolutely sure of his condition before anything is done.
How long will that take?
Only a few moments. Wheel that table over here near the x-ray machine, will you? I'll get things ready while you're doing that.
Anything you say. About here?
Oh, that's just right. Now, let me move the camera over above his head.
All right.
There we are. Now I'll have the picture in no time at all. There. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'll develop these in that dark room there at once.
Right. I couldn't see any broken bones in Jimmy's head, but then I may be wrong. No, I hope I haven't come too late. If I have, if anything happens to Jimmy, Jim, boy, can you hear me? Jim, you've got to pull through, you hear? The doctor's going to do everything he can for you, but you've got to help him. Can you hear me, Jim? Can you? I don't know whether he can hear me or not. Pulse is getting a little stronger, though. Stimulant's beginning to work. Only... Doctor?
I think the boy's going to be all right.
What? You mean...
The x-ray shows a near fracture, but it's not as serious as we thought.
Oh.
A week or so ought to see him out of the hospital.
Thank heaven for that.
Look here, man. What about yourself? You must be exhausted.
Me? Oh, no. I've got to get back to...
Yes?
Oh, never mind. Doctor, I'm leaving this boy in your care. I'm sure I can depend on you to see him through this until his friends come to take him home.
I'm a Navy man, sir. You can depend on any Navy man.
Good. And I won't spend any more time here. I have other work to do.
Yes, but just
take good care of that boy. Up, and away!
Meanwhile, aboard Dr. Cameron's multi-depth submarine in bathysphere...
But can't we wait until, well, maybe just until morning?
No, I'm sorry, Miss Lane, we can't. I've got to reach the spot where I believe Atlantis is located on schedule.
I can't risk changing weather conditions and all that sort of thing.
But why, Leander?
We have a supply problem, you know, enough food for just such and such a length of time, oil for so many running hours, and so on. Minutes are precious to the success of our expedition, and we must not waste them.
I was hoping Nicodemus would take another day to fix those electric motors.
Fortunately, he located the trouble a lot quicker than we expected. Wonderful man, Nicodemus. Sensitive, but wonderful.
Well, I suppose you're right. But somehow I hate to leave this spot.
So do I. It was here at this spot that Clark was shot and fell overboard.
Yes, he threw his life away to save mine.
Somehow it's like tearing yourself away from the grave of a close friend.
I didn't realize that Kent meant so much to you, Lois.
I didn't either. He's gone now, and I miss him. You miss him, don't you?
Yes, very much. He was a real man, Lois. I regret the many times that I misjudged him.
Oh, another thing. I wonder if Superman reached a doctor before it was too late for Jimmy.
Don't worry, Lois. He didn't fail. He never does.
No, not with something he can control, but Jimmy might have died seconds after Superman left.
Well, all we can do now is hope for the best. How far are we, Leander, from the spot in the Atlantic where you believe we'll find the lost continent?
Well, as I figured, Perry, we should reach there in another 20 hours. Then, of course, our real work, I should say the real exciting part of our work, will begin.
I see. And how far down below the surface do you figure that Atlantis lies?
Well, I don't know exactly. The Atlantic Ocean in spots is over 6 miles deep.
What?
Well, you certainly don't expect to go down 6 miles into the ocean.
Oh, dear me, how silly women can be at times.
I resent that.
Now, Lois.
I didn't mean to insult you, but really, Miss Lane, such remarks. Of course I don't expect to be down 6 miles below the surface. That would be impossible.
Oh, excuse me. I didn't think there was anything you couldn't do, Doctor. In fact, I've begun to think of you as a sort of scientific Superman.
Have you really? Well, I suppose I might be called that. My work is certainly superior to all others, and if I succeed in finding the lost continent of Atlantis...
Never mind all that chatter now, Leander. Now, get back to the subject. How far below the surface do you think we'll find the lost continent?
According to my reckoning, based on many years of scientific research, I would say we shall find Atlantis about 2 or 3 miles below the surface.
Now, wait a minute, Leander. Wait a minute. That's impossible. 2 or 3 miles below the surface? Why, we'd never be able to withstand the pressure.
No, of course not. Not if we were in an ordinary submarine, but in the Cameron multi-depth submarine in bathysphere that will withstand water pressure to 3 miles, and perhaps more.
What about us? Will we be able to stand it?
With ease, as long as we remain in the compression tank.
Well, how does that work, Leander?
Very simple, Perry. Elementary, in fact. When the time comes to submerge to that tremendous depth, we shall all get into the compression tank. There we shall be perfectly comfortable and at our ease, so long as the pressure is maintained inside the tank that the human body can stand. You'll probably notice that one wall of the tank is the submarine itself, and that in it is set a large pressure-proof window made of specially designed glass through which we shall be able to see all that lies about us 2 or 3 miles below the surface.
Well, I'll say one thing, Leander. You convinced me you were right when we were in Metropolis, but there's a great difference in listening to you expound your theories in the safety of my office from listening to you inside this submarine of yours. Are you sure this tub will withstand the pressure of 3 miles below the surface?
If my tests mean anything, it will. And, sir, I resent your calling the Cameron multi-depth submarine in bathysphere a tub.
All right. I apologize. But do your tests mean anything?
A test is simply a test, Perry. One can't be really sure of anything new until the actual conditions are met and overcome.
I only hope that we overcome the conditions. I don't want the conditions to overcome us.
Joke, excellent. I think the time has come for us to submerge again. The batteries must be charged by this time. Nicodemus!
Yes?
We'd better submerge now.
Who's running this submarine, you or me?
You really, Nicodemus.
I'll submerge when I'm good and ready.
And when will you be ready?
I'm ready now. We'll submerge.
That's just what I said. Submerge. A sensitive man, Nicodemus. Very sensitive.
Meanwhile, as the multi-depth submarine prepares to submerge, Superman arrives and hovers over it, suddenly realizing that he has a seemingly insoluble problem on his hands.
Now, what in the world am I going to do about this? How can I return aboard the submarine as Clark Kent without somehow explaining that I'm not dead? They all saw the German U-boat commander shoot me, and they saw me fall into the ocean, sink from view. Well, I am in a spot. Probably the worst spot in my entire career. I wonder how in the world I can get myself out of this.
Yes, how is Superman going to get himself out of this one? How can he possibly arrive aboard the submarine as Clark Kent when the others saw Kent topple from the deck and sink beneath the waves, apparently shot dead? Well, let's leave it to Superman to figure out, and let's be with him tomorrow to see how he does it. And be sure to listen every day, Monday through Friday, same time, same station. Tune in and follow The Adventures of Superman.
By all means, don't forget to tune in to Superman tomorrow for another thrilling and exciting episode. And don't forget to talk to Mother and Dad before you go to bed tonight about making arrangements to buy war-saving stamps regularly. Start the day off like tomorrow. Buy at least one 10-cent war-saving stamp first thing after breakfast. And remember what I told you at the beginning of this program. Every single dime is important because all our dimes put together can go a long way to help pay for the guns and tanks and planes and ships we need to knock out the Nazis and the Japs. And here's an idea. Why don't you get together with your friends tomorrow and make a joint pledge to buy war-saving stamps every time you've got a dime? See which of you can buy the most war-saving stamps every week and every month. In that way, you'll be doing your share to win this war.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird.
It's a plane.
It's Superman.
Follow the adventures of Superman every day, Monday through Friday, same time, same station. Superman is directed by George Lothar and is a copyrighted feature appearing in Action Comics magazine. This is Mutual.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird.
It's a plane.
It's Superman.
Yes, it's Superman, strange visitor from another world who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. Superman, who can change the course of mighty rivers, bend the steel in his bare hands, and who, disguised as Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth, justice, and the American way. But before we join Superman, here is an important message.
Fellows and girls, every day the city, state, and national offices of civilian defense organizations are swamped with letters from young people like yourselves. And most of these letters ask, what can I do, what part can I take in the national war effort? Now, the writers of these letters are all too young to join the United States Armed Forces, too young to join any of the numerous home defense groups. And yet they ask, isn't there something we can do? Some of you listening now are no doubt among those who have written these letters, and I bet many of you who have not written have thought the same thing. Well, the answer is a very simple one, and here it is. You can do your part in civilian defense. You can help win this war by buying war-saving stamps regularly. How does that help, you ask? How can my dime or 20 or 40 or 50 cents help to win this war? That's easy, too. For instance, your dime, just 10 cents, would buy 5 .45 caliber bullets that can be used by our soldiers, sailors, or Marines to knock 5 Japs or 5 Nazis out of commission. And believe me, it's going to take a lot of those bullets to knock them all out and win this war. Another thing, 50 cents, which represents 5 10-cent or 2 25-cent war-saving stamps, will buy enough fuel oil to bring one of our destroyers a full mile closer to the Jap fleet in the Solomon Islands. And you know what happens when our Navy gets close enough to turn on the heat. And here's one more thing for you to think over. If every fellow and girl in the United States bought at least 5 10-cent war-saving stamps every day, the amount of money they'd lend to the government would buy enough fighter planes and bombers to blast Hitler's Luftwaffe right out of the air. So remember that each and every dime is important, that buying war-saving stamps is a very important way to help win the war. So why not pledge today to buy war-saving stamps regularly? And keep in mind this slogan. Every time you've got a dime,
buy a war-saving stamp. And now, the adventures of Superman. As you know, Editor Perry White of the Daily Planet is financing an expedition to locate the lost continent of Atlantis, believed to be lying at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. Following a series of mishaps during which Jimmy was so seriously injured that Superman had to fly him to a naval hospital, our friends reached the spot in the Atlantic below which Dr. Leander Cameron, eccentric explorer and leader of the expedition, believes the lost continent will be found. As our last episode ended, Dr. Cameron's multi-depth submarine and bathysphere began the dive that will end, he believes, in the sighting of the lost continent of Atlantis 3 miles below the surface of the ocean. We join our friends now 1 mile below the surface, a depth no human being has ever descended to before. Listen.
A mile below the surface? Do you really mean that we're actually a mile below the surface?
Yes, Miss Lane, we're submerging rapidly.
Can't see a thing through this window. Everything's pitch black.
That's right. I thought you said, Leander, that we'd see all sorts of strange things.
We will, Perry, we will. I haven't switched on the searchlight yet.
Searchlight? Well, now, don't tell me this submarine is equipped with searchlight.
I might say, Miss Lane, that there's nothing with which this submarine is not equipped. Be prepared, that is my motto, along with the Boy Scouts of America.
Wish we had a few Boy Scouts here now. I'd feel safer, perhaps.
I'm not going to switch on the lights until we're a mile and a half below the surface. In a little while, we should begin to see...
Wait, there's something now.
Where?
Yes, look, see it?
Gracious, what is it?
A fish.
A fish? Well, I don't see anything but 2 big white eyes and rows of long teeth gleaming in the dark.
That, if I'm right, is the Gonostoma piletus.
Really? And what might that be?
A pickerel.
A pickerel. Now, look here, Leander. I am a freshwater fisherman. I've caught many pickerel in my time, and they don't look like that.
The Gonostoma piletus is the saltwater cousin of the freshwater pickerel. It lives a mile below the surface of the ocean. This fellow is 40 times bigger than any pickerel you've ever caught, Perry, and his teeth are also 40 times bigger. Notice how they shine in the dark?
You mean they're luminescent?
That's right, Mr. Kent. From here on, we shall see nothing but luminescent fish. Fish that shine in the dark.
Well, I should think that would be quite necessary in this inky blackness.
Look, isn't that pretty?
Oh, yes, Lois. That's a beauty.
My heavens, look at the colors in that fish. Red, green, yellow, blue, and all lit up. Why, it looks like a swimming Christmas tree.
Wonderful, isn't it? Let me get to the phone. I want to tell Nicodemus about it. Nicodemus.
Yeah?
Nicodemus, did you see the Anthropomorphus nocastalsis?
What? You're crazy.
What do you mean?
That was a Myctophon punctatum.
You are out of your mind. That was no Myctophon punctatum. That was definitely an Anthropomorphus nocastalsis.
These zoophyctite fins were much too long, and any fool could see the Lamarian scales were much too close together.
You're just stubborn.
Didn't he agree?
He says it was a Myctophon punctatum. Ridiculous, utterly ridiculous.
No, Doctor, it really doesn't matter.
Well, whatever it was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Just like a Christmas tree glowing in a dark room.
This is wonderful. I've never experienced anything like it.
How far down are we now, Doctor?
Well, now, let me see. Yes, 1 mile and a half. Time to turn on the searchlight. We don't want to hit a projecting ledge or coral reef.
Or an Atlantean mountain peak.
Nicodemus?
Yeah?
Turn on the searchlight, Nicodemus.
Okay.
I still say that was an Anthropomorphus nocastalsis. I suppose you didn't see the Arancilia dactylometer depending from the Aurelia?
You can't even pronounce it. It was a Myctophon punctatum. There's no doubt of it in my mind.
No doubt of it in his mind. He hasn't got a mind.
Uh-oh, there go the searchlights. Great heavens, look.
Oh, Clark, isn't it amazing? Simply amazing.
Leander, I really don't care now whether we find Atlantis or not. I've seen everything there is to be seen.
I feel the same way, Mr.
Oh,
White.
I knew it would thrill you. It thrills me, too. Remember, I've never seen this before, either.
Well, if you've never seen all this before, how can you be sure you're right and Nicodemus is wrong?
What do you mean?
Well, he says that fish we saw was a Myctophon punctatum.
What was that again, Chief?
Nicodemus said that fish was a Myctophon punctatum. And Leander here says it was an Anthropomorphus nocastalsis.
Now, why don't you just forget it, Chiefy? Those Latin names are a bit too much for you.
Now, look at here, Kent. I want to tell you. What? Well, maybe I'd better. Better have that upper plate fixed.
Look, what's that? Clark, Great heavens, look.
That is a mammoth shark, Miss Lane, a veritable sea monster.
A mammoth shark?
Look at the size of a whale.
It is.
You mean to say that there are sharks as big as whales?
Of course, they have to be that big to withstand the pressure of a mile and a half below the surface.
Oh, which reminds me, how are we withstanding the pressure?
Well, we appear to be doing very well. Very well indeed. Ah, yes. Yes, in a short time we ourselves will look upon the ancient and now submerged land of Atlantis. A land where 9,000 years ago men and women lived as we live today. We shall see houses, roads, streets, buildings of all sorts. We shall see... What's that?
What?
I saw it only for a moment. Caught in the beam of the searchlight.
That thing there? It looks like an eel.
Certainly, that's all it is, an eel. Pretty big eel. But as you say, Leander, well, what's the matter? You're turning pale.
Give me that phone.
Leander, what is it?
Nicodemus.
Never mind, Doc. I've seen it too.
Surface at once.
I'm servicing, Doc.
What's the matter, Doctor?
Look at that eel. Look at it now.
What? Why, it can't be an eel. It looks like a lot of tangled giant eels.
It's a devilfish, an octopus, a giant octopus. Yes, by heavens, and it's seen us.
A giant octopus.
Oh, 40 to 60 times larger than the ordinary octopus. Parrot, we must get away from it. We must.
Are we starting toward the surface?
Yes.
Hadn't we better turn off our searchlight?
No, the octopus can stay in the dark. We can't escape him that way. Pray to heavens he doesn't come after us, that he really doesn't see us.
Beginning to move up toward us from the depths. I'm sure it's moving toward us.
Those tentacles. Look at them. They're as big as fire hoses.
He's seen us. We're in a bad spot, I'm afraid. A very bad spot. The phone. Nicodemus.
Yeah?
Nicodemus, what do you think?
I think he's going to come for us, Doc.
We must do something.
Is there anything we can do, Nicodemus?
Nothing except trying to keep away from him.
Then why don't you? We're not rising very fast.
What's the matter with you? You know I can't rise any faster than the compression tanks will take it. You want a case of the bends?
Rather a case of the bends, Nicodemus, and no body left with which to have them. That thing will crush us like an eggshell if it gets a hold of it.
It's coming up fast. Tell you what I'll do, Doc. I'll level out and try to get away from it that way. Can't do it by trying to reach the surface.
No, don't do that. Keep rising. We may be able to reach a depth where the giant octopus can't go.
I never thought of that.
Keep surfacing, then. We'll see what happens.
What did you mean, Doctor, when you said we'd reach a depth where the octopus can't go?
Well, you see, Kent, these fish live at great depths because they're accustomed to them. They build up an internal pressure that reacts against the external pressure. In brief, they can only live at tremendous depths. Once they reach a normal pressure, the internal pressure blows them apart because there's nothing to hold it in.
How far do we have to go yet before we reach that point?
Just a moment. I'll check the gauge.
Oh, it's horrible. Look at that thing swimming up toward us. It's like a huge head with tremendous arms attached to it. It's gruesome.
Yes, isn't it? Look at those big suction cups on its arms. We're moving away from the thing, but it's coming on fast. The question is, will it overtake us before we get too high for it to follow? Oh, we just got to wait and see.
Oh, if only Superman were here.
I doubt if there's anything he could do.
Oh, of course you doubt it. If Superman were here, he'd get out through the escape chamber and kill that thing.
I've been wondering about that. He could get out through the escape chamber, of course, but how would he get out of this compression chamber? What do you mean, Kent? Well, it seems to me if the door of the compression chamber was open, we'd all die. There's a tremendous pressure outside there. A pressure you wouldn't be able to withstand for more than a second or two. What do you think this compression chamber is for, anyway? You're right. I never thought of that.
What the devil are we discussing Superman for, anyway? He's not here, and he can't help us.
Yes, I'm afraid you're half right, anyway.
The suspense is awful. Look, that horrible octopus is gaining on us. That tremendous head, those long, horrible tentacles.
Hold on to yourself, Lois.
What's the point of holding on to myself when we haven't a chance? We're going to be crushed by that huge and disgusting thing.
Easy, Lois, easy. Nothing's happened yet. We may get away from it. Leander, can't we rise any faster than this?
Well, Nicodemus is doing the best he can, Perry.
Well, then his best isn't good enough. That thing is going to catch us, so is shooting.
Well, the gauge is reading miles below the surface. We can rise to 3/4 of a mile before the devilfish reaches us. I think we may be safe.
What do you mean you think we may be safe?
It's impossible, Mr. Kent, to gauge the pressure accurately. I don't know just how much or how little pressure that octopus can stand.
Lois, what?
Look, against the window.
A suction cup. A suction cup from one of those tentacles. Leander, it's reached us. We're caught in its tentacles.
Not yet. No, not too quickly.
Look for yourself against the glass. It's as big as a platter.
Yes, I see it. There's nothing I can do now. Nothing anyone can do unless there's one last chance. Nicodemus.
Yes?
We rise no faster than this.
No, Doc. We're rising just as fast as we can. It's impossible to go any faster.
But we've got to go up faster. The octopus has one arm around us already.
There are more now.
We've got to reach a pressure he can't stand.
Wait a minute. What's that?
It's the motor. The octopus has wrapped his arms around us. He's pulling us down, and the motors can't pull against him.
The gauge. Look at the gauge. We're going down again. We're sinking.
I'm afraid there's nothing we can do now. Nothing at all.
Is there really nothing that can be done to stop the monster of the deep, the mammoth octopus whose many powerful tentacles are wrapped around the submarine, dragging it and our friends down into the bottommost depths of the Atlantic? Superman, it seems, is helpless, for he cannot leave the compression chamber without killing the others in it. What can Superman do now? How will he resolve this situation? Well, be sure to listen Monday and every day, Monday through Friday, same time, same station. Tune in and follow the adventures of Superman.
Well, there goes Superman until Monday. Meanwhile, don't let the weekend go by without buying your share of war savings stamps. And remember what I told you at the beginning of this program, you fellows and girls who are too young to join the armed forces or any of the national defense organizations. You can do your part. You can help win this war by buying war savings stamps. So let's make a pledge right now to buy war savings stamps regularly. Talk it over tonight with Mother and Dad. Ask them to give you a dime every day or even every other day for war savings stamps. And then buy some extra ones out of your regular weekly allowance. And see if you can't get your friends to buy stamps regularly, too. Or better yet, why not organize a war savings stamp club right in your neighborhood? And make this your club slogan. Every time you've got a dime, buy a war savings stamp.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look! Up in the sky! It's a bird!
It's a plane!
It's Superman!
Follow the adventures of Superman every day, Monday through Friday, same time, same station. Superman is directed by George Lothar and is a copyrighted feature appearing in Action Comics magazine.
This is Mutual.
Blast off, -5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0!
As roaring rockets blast off to distant planets and far-flung stars, we take you to the age of the conquest of space with Tom Corbett, Space Cadet. As the sun blazes fiercely in a sky blacker than the blackest midnight of Earth, and countless brilliant stars gleam on every side, Space Cadets Tom Corbett, Roger Manning, and Astro blast through the void in the rocket cruiser Polaris. They are about to begin a week's leave on the shining planet that already looms in the distance, Astro's home world, Venus.
It won't be long now, Astro. We should be landing in an hour.
Oh, that's swell, Tom. I can hardly wait to get home and see the family again.
I'll bet.
After I say hello to Astro's family, I have some unfinished business.
Yeah, we know. That girl in Venusport.
The Venus of Venus. You know, Astro, I can't figure out how the same planet can produce a gal like Gloria and an ape like you.
Look, Hotshot, one more blast of your jet gas and I'll throw you right out into space, just to see if you could make Venus under your own power.
Venusport calling rocket cruiser Polaris. Venusport to Polaris.
Hold it a minute, fellas.
Come in, Polaris.
Polaris to Venusport. Cadet Pilot Corbett here. Go ahead.
This is Lieutenant Commander Burke of the Solar Guard. Sorry we didn't catch you while you were further out. Afraid I have a little bad news. Your leave will have to be delayed while you cut over to Mercury.
Leave canceled?
What's the idea?
Unfortunately, the Polaris is the only official ship available to look into a serious situation.
Well, what is it, sir? What's up?
The two teams of government scientists have been operating diggers on Mercury's hot side recently in a top-secret project. Had you heard anything about it?
We knew they were there, sir, that's all.
Well, their radio operators kept in constant touch with us from their Twilight Zone base, but a few hours ago he apparently attempted to call and the transmitter suddenly went dead. Normally any break should be repaired by now, so it looks as if they're in serious trouble. Clear so far?
Yes, sir. What are our orders?
You're to proceed to Mercury at once, investigate, and report to us by radio. But use extreme caution, or you may be in danger yourselves. Authorities here suspect an outbreak of zero-A fever.
Zero-A fever?
What's that? I've heard of it, sir. Zero-A means zero atmosphere. Space pioneers used to get it on airless planets, but I thought it had been wiped out.
Well, it can't be cured like a disease. This is psychosis. Insanity, like the cabin fever of ancient days that affected small groups cooped up in vast isolated quarters. But in zero-A, there's the additional strain of existing in spacesuits or small pressurized bases on a hostile world.
Sir, what happens when a man goes zero-A?
And he becomes insane, has hallucinations, usually goes berserk, smashing, killing. Extremely dangerous to his companions and to himself.
Great Jupiter, a maniac in a spot like that.
We'll get there as fast as we can, sir. That fever isn't catching, is it?
Oh, you bubblehead. How could it be?
Just a moment. Matter of fact, zero-A may be catching in a sense.
But, sir, if it's mental...
Well, we speak of the yawn being catching. That's mental, too. In the case of zero-A, everybody's under the same strain. They're all potential victims. So when one goes, all may go. You understand?
Yes, sir, I certainly do.
Then you also understand why I'm ordering you to be very, very careful. All right. That's it. Blast off for Mercury and spaceman's luck.
We'll return to the exciting adventures of Tom Corbett, Space Cadet, in just a moment. So stand by.
Spaceman, there's a lot more to being a space cadet than blasting off on a trip through space. The cadets get plenty of work to do right here on the ground. Tom Corbett and the other cadets have physical training, just like you do. And it's plenty rough. Listen to what Tom Corbett said one day down at the gym.
They sure give you a morning workout around here. If you spacemen have a tough gym class, there are two things you can do to make it a lot easier. The first is to go to class on the moon. That's right. You see, the moon's gravity is only 1/3 of the Earth's. So you can run and jump 3 times as far and as high. And the other thing to do, well, that's the best. That's starting your day with a breakfast built around Kellogg's Pep. Pep gives you more builder-upper food values than any other wheat flakes. When you eat Pep, you get a valuable supply of vitamins, vitamin B1 and D, and other food values that help keep you going in high down at the gym. And Pep's food values can help you build up bigger and stronger muscles, too. When you find out what Pep can do for you and how absolutely swell Kellogg's Pep tastes, you'll start your day the way the Space Cadets do, with a heaping bowl full of Kellogg's Pep.
Well, it's just like Tom Corbett says, Spaceman. Taste that swell, malty-rich flavor. Kellogg's Pep gives you the kind of swell eating that makes you want second helping. With a first spoonful, you'll say, from now on, my cereal is Kellogg's Pep. P-E-P. Pep.
Swinging around its orbit like a ball on a string, Mercury keeps the same face forever turned toward the sun. On one side, it is always glaring day, blazing with a surface temperature of 450 degrees. On the other side, always night, dark and cold as space itself. Only in the narrow band between, the twilight zone, can men establish temporary camps on this airless and unfriendly planet. Now, as the Polaris speeds over the bright side toward the silent twilight zone base, the cadets stare down at the burning land beneath them.
How would you like to have to work down there, Astro?
In that blast furnace? Not me, Tom. I don't see how those scientists do it. Well, they have mechanical molds.
They're diggers, big, powerful machines developed for just this sort of setup. They were first used on the moon.
They're built something like you, Astro. Big and clumsy.
All right, wise guy. Matter of fact, the diggers aren't so clumsy, except when they fly.
Fly? Oh, yeah, they do at that. It doesn't seem possible.
Well, they're no dreamboats, but they are jet-equipped for short flights under low-gravity conditions. And a rough landing doesn't damage them or the people in them. And they can work on a place like this, huh?
Not on it, you Venusian clunk, under it.
He means beneath the surface, Astro. They dig underground and burrow there like moles, protected from the worst of the heat. They can gather tons of rock samples or usable ore that way.
Hey, I wonder what they're looking for here.
Well, no one knows. This seems to be a real hush-hush deal.
Hey, fellas, look down there. Oh, too late.
Well, what was it?
I'm not sure, Tom, but I thought I saw something landing on the surface.
A digger?
Well, not from your description.
Well, what then, a spaceship?
No, it wasn't big enough for that, or even a jet boat. Looked like a man in a spacesuit with body jets.
A man with body jets?
It must have been your imagination, Astro. Why, even the Polaris couldn't protect us from the heat for long if we were down there. Okay, guys, get to your stations. We're entering the twilight zone. Now we've got to locate the base, fast, and find out what's happened here. Here's the base. Come on.
Huh. Not much more than a good-sized hut.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be stuck in a place like this for long.
Be careful now. We don't know what we're getting into. It may be all right, but... Uh-oh.
What's the matter?
Look at the hatches in the pressure compartment.
Great galaxy. Both of them open. That means there's no air inside.
Looks bad, fellas. Come on, but watch your step. Blazing comets. What a mess.
Wow, it sure is.
No wonder the transmitter went dead. It smashed to bits.
Everything's smashed. The whole place is wrecked. As though a maniac had been loose.
Yeah. Well, anyway, nobody's here now.
Well, that's all right with me. I wouldn't like to... What are you staring at, Tom?
Someone is here. Look. Over by the bulkhead.
A man. And Tom, he's dead.
Gosh. Well, this man must have been the base operator. He probably kept a log. If we can find it, it might help.
There's some stuff over here in the corner.
Now, let's see. Yes, here it is.
Anything in it?
Apparently, there were only 5 men on this project. The dead operator, Adams, and 4 scientists, divided into 2 teams.
What did it say about today?
That's what I'm looking for. Yeah, here it is. Teams started out in diggers at 0800, and Adams made his regular report to Venus. At 8:30, both teams called in to say they were okay. 8:49, Team A said it was moving. Landed a few minutes later, and, hey, listen to this. They started yelling something about giant men.
Giant men?
Uh-huh. Then more shouting and noise, and that was all.
Zero wave fever. That proves it.
That's what Adams and the other team figured, too. Now, let's see. Team B flew to help. Landed at 9:01. And apparently Adams didn't hear any more from them.
Well, what happened to Adams?
Yeah, that's what I'd like to know.
Here it is. At 9:15, he wrote that he was going to call Venus unless somebody reported in soon. But then he heard a signal at the outside hatch.
Yeah? And then what?
That's the last entry he made. Evidently, he opened the hatch and... Well, you saw him.
But one of the guys on Team A must have gone zero away all of a sudden.
Or maybe both of them.
Yes, and there's no telling what happened to them or the other team. Or where they are now. Let's see. The log says they landed on sector T34. There should be a map somewhere.
Oh, right there on the bulkhead behind you.
Oh, yes. T34. Right. Here it is. Now, that's where they were. But somebody was here after that. Wait a minute. Astro, wasn't it around there you thought you saw a man land on the surface?
Yeah, just about there.
We'd better get up to that sector in a hurry. There may still be something we can do.
Wait a minute. The Polaris is really too fast and big for a job like this.
Sure it is. We'll use the jet boat. Come on.
This sector T34 looks so small on the map, you'd think we could have covered it by now.
We probably could if I didn't have to maneuver this jet boat all over the place to be sure we look into all these mountains and valleys.
While we're practically looking under every rock here, the guys we're looking for may be dying somewhere else.
What else can we do, Roger?
We can't do anything else, but they ought to send more men out from Venus.
How can they? You heard what Commander Burke told us when we called in. With most of their fleet out near Neptune and their last cruiser laid up for repairs.
Well, he admitted they still have a destroyer left.
But he has to keep at least one ship on planetary duty. You know that. It's regulation.
Regulations. Why don't you and Burke both go blow your jets? Who cares about it?
Look down there. In that sort of canyon below us.
Where? Oh, yeah. Oh, that must be one of the diggers, huh?
That's what it is, all right.
I'll circle down and get closer.
Say, there's the other digger. But it's turned over on its back. Why, that's almost impossible, the way those things hug the ground.
And they weigh 20 tons. You'd think it would take an earthquake.
Maybe it was an earthquake.
Maybe, but an earthquake didn't call Adams to be killed. Or dream up the idea about giant men.
They're two of the guys we've been looking for. We're too late to help them.
What do you mean? Where are they?
Lying on the ground right near that overturned digger, almost hidden by it.
Yes, I see. 2 men in spacesuits. Dead?
How could they be alive at that temperature?
Yes, they're dead, that's so. But that still leaves 2 unaccounted for.
There they are. But one of them's alive. He's carrying the body of the other one.
It's impossible.
Well, look there, near the cliff. Only something's wrong. The one that's being carried is so small.
Great galaxy, no, Astro. The body is normal size like the others. But the live one is huge. He must be at least 10 feet tall.
Blazing comet, a giant man. Then those scientists didn't have zero-A fever after all.
Unless maybe we've got it, too.
I'm going down for a closer look.
All right, but don't get too close, will you? He may try to get us, too.
Probably, but we should be safe in this jet boat.
Yeah, and the other guy should have been safe in diggers.
Hey, you can see now he's not just big. He's built all wrong. Even in a spacesuit, a man doesn't look like that.
No, the legs and his arms. Why, look, he has extra arms.
With metal claws on them. Oh, brother, tell me I'm just having a nightmare.
I wish we were. Fellas, did you see that? Well, it turned its head in a complete circle.
Back this way. I think it sees us.
With what? It has no face. There's just a blank surface behind a sort of faceplate.
I'm upping the man's body.
And it's blasting off, flying. Straight for us.
Tom, get out of here in a hurry. That thing fast as a rocket ship.
Hang on, I'm pouring on. Roger, you get on that radio to Venus. Tell them we need help. In a hurry. Manning, for heaven's sake, snap out of it. You realize what you're saying?
I sure do, Commander Perkin. It's true.
A giant over 10 feet tall, unharmed by 450-degree temperature, capable of damaging a jet boat?
Sir, he could ruin the jet boat. We wouldn't have a chance. We saw what he did to the diggers.
Manning, can't you understand that no human being could possibly fly as fast as a jet boat?
Human being? Whatever this thing is, sir, it sure isn't human.
Manning, what's become of the other members of your unit?
Why, they're here with me in the boat.
Are they? Then put one of them on.
Yes, sir. Here, Tom, talk to him, will you? This is Corbett, sir. Look, I know this is hard to believe back there on Venus, but we have to believe it. It has short legs, thick as tree trunks, no face, and tell him, Astro. 6 arms, sir. On a 6. With things on them.
All right, you all agree. But the Polaris unit has a reputation for pulling tricks. Now, this is a joke. I promise you that you...
Great Galaxy, sir, no. Please believe us, this is deadly serious.
Oh, very well. I'm sending you the help you need at once. End transmission. Lieutenant, did you hear that?
I certainly did, sir. Shall I order the destroyer to Mercury?
No, I'll commandeer a freighter. We need the destroyer for planetary duty.
But in a case like this, sir, the destroyer's armed and the freighter isn't. You said you'd send the help they needed.
Exactly. It's not weapons they need. It's medics.
Doctors? But that giant chasing...
Good heavens, Lieutenant. Don't tell me you believe that insane babble. It's obvious what's happened. Those cadets have gone zero-A. Twilight zone coming up. How are we doing?
Oh, we've gained a little. That thing is nearly 100 yards behind. Is that enough?
I don't know. It depends.
Hey, I spotted the Polaris. East support.
There, you're on the nose. Right. I'm throwing on the forward jets for a fast stop. All the brakes we can stand. Brace yourselves. We're going down.
Tom, that monster is catching up fast.
I know. We'll be landing in 2 minutes. Right by the ship, I hope. It'll be a rough landing.
Look there. Another one of those things driving out from behind the rock.
Great Jupiter, he's cutting between us and the ship.
Right in our path. They've got us trapped.
We'll return to the exciting adventures of Tom Corbett, Space Cadet, in just a moment. So stand by.
Spacemen, everybody laughs when they see Mr. Funnyman himself, Bob Hope. Bob Hope is known the world over for being a wonderful comedian. In Paramount Pictures, he's made millions of people laugh. And now you can get a picture of Bob Hope that's good for even more fun. That's right. One of the swell magic eyes you can find in boxes of Kellogg's Pep shows Bob Hope in action. Tilt the magic eye, and Bob Hope starts performing right before your very eyes. You'll see loads of other exciting pictures in the Magic Eye series, too. Planes fly through the clouds. Trains go smoking down the track. And many of your favorite stars of the movies and sports are ready to go into action as soon as you work the Magic Eye. You can get a swell collection together in no time. That's because every time you get a package of Kellogg's Pep, you get a Magic Eye right along with it, free at no extra cost. You want a complete set of all 16 Magic Eyes, so don't delay. Start saving Magic Eyes today. If you get doubles, swap them with your friends. That way, you'll get a complete set even sooner. And remember, every time you get Kellogg's Pep, you get a Magic Eye, too. Don't forget the name of the swell-tasting whole wheat cereal that brings you a Magic Eye free at no extra cost in every package. Ask Mom for Kellogg's Pep. P-E-P. Pep.
In a jet boat rocketing through the airless sky of Mercury, pursued by a huge and powerful monster which is seeking to destroy them, Tom Corbett has strained every nerve to maintain the slight lead which means the difference between life and death to himself and his friends Roger Manning and Astro. But just as it seems they have a chance to reach the comparative safety of the Polaris, another of the giant creatures zooms suddenly into their path, and the cadets are trapped.
Great galaxy, Tom. Climb. It's our only chance. I'm trying to, but I've cut speed for a landing, and it's tough to get her up.
Come on, Tom. You can do it. You've got to.
She's coming now. Come on, get that nose up, baby. That creature in front of us is climbing, too. It's going to meet us head on. Hold tight. I'm swinging hard aboard.
Look out, Tom. The thing's making a pass at us.
It's got us. We're spinning. It's all right. I still have control. We're okay for a second. That was close, Tom. I didn't think you could do it. I wasn't sure myself, Roger. Lucky that was only a glancing blow and it missed the jet.
If a glancing blow rocked us like that, a real crash will split us wide open.
Tom, here comes another one, diving from behind. All right. We'll dive, too.
He's following. Getting close.
Look out, Tom. You're going to crash it.
Not quite. Now. Up. Jumping. Jupiter, Tom. I thought you were going right through the ground.
How about the monster that was after us? What happened to it? It pulled out of the dive just before we did. I hoped it would keep going and smash up. I can't keep away from both of them forever.
How can they see to maneuver like that? They have no eyes. Their faces are as blank as a radar screen.
Yes, a screen. A screen or a scanner. That's it. They aren't alive. They're robots.
Oh,
machines? Of course. That's why they can do things no human could do. They aren't space suits. They're just metal bodies. I get it. They have scanners to send back a picture.
Send it back where?
To wherever their owners are sitting, out of danger, controlling them.
Oh, yeah. Now I see the antennas on their helmets.
Boy, if I can only find the frequency on our receiver. Look, I got an idea. So have I. But we won't have a chance to try it. Here they come.
One on each side. What can you do, Tom?
Just hold my course and hope.
But they'll crush us between them. Tom, dodge.
Not yet.
They're closing in.
All right, now. Going down.
Squeezed through and the robots collided.
My trick worked. But they're not damaged. And one of them is bouncing back to us.
It's landed right on top of the jet boat.
Hey, I found one of the frequencies.
Who cares now? Tom, can you shake it off?
No, it's clamped on tight. The weight is sending us into a spin. I can't control the boat. Keep fighting. I'm going to turn on the transmitter. Now, if it's the right one. You've done it, Roger. The robot let go. We're okay.
Drifting away down to the ground. What happened?
I jammed its control frequency with our transmitter. I can keep it out of action now.
Yeah, but what about the other one? It's coming for us again.
I can't handle that one, too. Maybe I can. Hold your hats, fellas. I'm heading straight into it. No, Tom, we can't stand a collision with that thing. Don't talk. This is tricky. It's suicide. Do it, and hang on.
We're going to smash. Look out!
We did it! Did what? You nearly killed us. We hit something on that robot. Sure, the antenna. That's what I was aiming for.
You broke it off, Tom. The thing's going down, out of control.
Hey,
we're safe.
Nice going, Junior. We'd better land and put the antenna on the other one in case his transmitter gets weak. Right. Then we'll get back to the Polaris.
Good. I'll sure be glad to get away from Mercury.
We can't leave, Astro. We'll have to stay here and guard the robots until help comes. Their owners might like to get them back, you know. Stay here on this crummy planet? Aren't you afraid we'll all go zero-A? No, Roger. After what we've been through, even zero-A fever would seem like a slight case of sunburn.
Don't miss the next action-packed episode with Tom Corbett, Space Cadet, on Thursday, when the boys again find themselves in terrible danger from the monstrous robots and their human masters. In Part 2 of The Giant of Mercury. Tune in, same time, same station, for the next thrilling interplanetary adventure with Tom Corbett, Space Cadet.
Brought to you by Kellogg's Pep, the build-up wheat cereal.
Tom Corbett, Space Cadet, starring Frankie Thomas, can also be seen on television and appears in the comic section of many of America's leading newspapers. Look for it daily and in weekend editions. Featured in the cast are Jan Merlin, Al Markham, and Vinton Hayworth. Today's program was written by Don Hughes, directed by Drex Hines. Jackson Beck speaking.
Kellogg's Raisin Bran has a secret. Kellogg's Raisin Bran has a secret.
And what a secret. In Kellogg's Raisin Bran, the tasty raisins are dipped in honeycomb. That means plumper, more tender raisins, along with delicious golden crisp bran flakes. Both fruit and cereal, all in one box. And no other raisin brand but Kellogg's gives you the tender goodness of raisins dipped in honeycomb. That's Kellogg's secret. So for your breakfast, make sure you get Kellogg's, because
Kellogg's Raisin Bran has a secret.
This program came to you from New York. America is sold on ABC, the American Broadcasting Company.
Tired of the everyday grind? Ever dream of a life of romantic adventure? Want to get away from it all? We offer you Escape.
Escape, designed to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure.
You are running over the fog-locked cliffs of Dover. By your side, a girl who believes you are a madman. And pursuing you, bent on destroying you, a man whose terrible secret you've stumbled upon, and from whom there is no escape.
Listen now as Escape brings you Walter Brown Newman's story, 2 and 2 Make 4.
My head hurt. I sat up and opened my eyes. Fog all around, thick and close and still. I could see trees and a few yards of dirt road. My watch was gone and my wallet. Rolled, slugged and rolled and dumped. But where? I scrambled to my feet and I stood there in the ditch, suddenly worried about the time. It would be bad to be late going aboard. As for the ship sailing without me, I stepped onto the road. Which way led back to Calais? Someone was coming. Hello? Qui est là? Why don't you answer? I can't see. Oh! Down the road, then across the field, alongside a brook. I ran till I thought my lungs would burst. I stopped to listen, but the blood was pounding so I couldn't be sure I wasn't followed. I ran some more. The brook went under a small bridge. On it, leaning against the stone wall, looking down at me, was a girl with a knapsack on her back. I climbed up the bank. Mademoiselle, s'il vous plaît, mademoiselle...
I'm sorry, I don't speak French.
Did you hear those shots?
Shots?
A few minutes ago, right past my ear, almost blew my head off.
Well, you should tell the police or something. I have to be going. I have a long way to go.
No, wait a minute.
Sorry, I really...
No, wait. What time is it, please?
Well, not quite 7:15. The way it looks now, we'll have fog at least until noon.
Noon? You mean it's 7:15 in the morning?
Yes, of course in the morning. Well, I've got to...
Hold on. Which way is Calais?
Calais? Well, that way, about 20 miles.
20? I've got to make my ship. You mind if I walk along with you?
Well,
My name's David Parker.
Mine's Haydock, Emily Haydock.
I'm in the Merchant Marine, second mate on a freighter. You want a walking trip or something?
That's right.
I figured. It was the knapsack. American?
Yes.
Me too. I thought you were French at first.
Why was that?
Took it for granted. Most people in France are.
Well, I don't understand. We're in England, not France. Why should you think that you...
What do you mean, England? Didn't you just tell me we were 20 miles from Calais?
Yes, but Calais is somewhere out there across the English Channel in France.
And where do you say we are, you and me now?
In England, of course, about 2 miles from Dover.
Now, look. I've been robbed and dumped out here in the countryside and shot at, so please don't make jokes.
I'm not.
What's today, quick?
Thursday, 10th of July. Why?
Then we're in France.
Look, I tell you...
When I registered at the hotel in Calais last night, I noticed the date. It was the 9th of July.
Now, look. You asked me where we are, and I told you. England, near Dover.
I suppose I didn't see the sunrise in Calais just an hour ago. Sunrise.
What sunrise? I've been up since 5. There's been no sun for a week. It's one of the worst fogs they've ever had.
Oh, drop it. I tell you, I saw it.
You're either joking or lying
No,
or
wait
crazy.
a minute. No more of that lying, that crazy, do you hear? No more of that crazy.
Well, what else am I to think when you say you were shot at? You saw the sun? Sun today. And you insist you're in France when you're in England.
All right, Miss Haydock. Turn around. Now, what do you see alongside the road?
Gate. Stone wall.
Yeah, and in front of the gate.
A mailbox. Why?
And what does it say on the mailbox? Villa Mon Bijou. I don't know what Bijou means, but it's French. Now, what do you say now?
We're in England.
You don't know where to stop, do you? All right. I'm going into this villa, whatever it is, and phone for a taxi to take me to my ship. I was going to offer you a lift, but now I'd sooner cut my tongue out. How do you like that?
Oh, go to the devil. You're in England!
Bonjour. Parlez anglais? D'anglais compris? Say, is there anyone here who speaks English?
I speak English.
Oh, good. May I use your phone to call a taxi?
Of course. Won't you come in?
Thanks. I have no money on me, Mr.
Putney, Dr. Putney.
I haven't a penny with me, Doctor, but I'll be able to get some from the clerk at the hotel, and I'll send you whatever the call costs with the taxi driver.
Oh, not at all. There's the phone.
Thanks. Hello? Oh, come on.
Service is always a bit slow at this hour.
I'm sorry. The fact is, I got angry with a silly girl out on the road.
Did you?
Yeah, you tried to kid me. Well, the joke will be on her when she's trudging along the road and sees me riding in my ease to Calais. Oh, come on.
Riding to Calais?
In a taxi. I wouldn't have minded if she'd let the joke drop, but no, she went on and on about this being England and that I was crazy to think otherwise.
Well, I'm afraid I don't understand the joke. I mean, this is England.
Look, I don't find it funny, Doctor. I thought I made that clear. The next one who tells me I'm in England when I know I'm in France, I swear I'll take...
You know you're in France?
Yes.
Sit down, young man.
Isn't this France?
England. Near Dover. How can I show you? Here's a copy of the London Times, yesterday's.
Wednesday, July 9th. But the name on the mailbox, Villa Watts, that's French.
Most of the villas have names like that. Montbijou, Sanssouci. Still, it's England. Sit down. I'm a physician, and I'd like to ask you...
No.
Young man!
Two and two make four. I repeated it like a charm, like they told me in the hospital. When you feel unsure of yourself, remember, 2 and 2 make 4. There's an explanation for everything. Don't doubt yourself. After a while, I stopped trembling. I opened the gate and went out onto the road. And there was the girl.
Oh. Everything all right?
Did you come back to say I told you so?
No, I thought you might need help. I thought that...
Watch out, there's a truck coming.
There's an inn just around the curve.
Get down, he might shoot you again. Get down.
Mr. Parker, please, that was a backfire, that's all it was.
Backfire?
Of course, what else could it be? There's an inn just around the curve and I have money. Wouldn't you like to have breakfast there and talk?
Oh, I'm all confused.
Anyone would be after a blow on the head.
No, it's not just being slugged. I wish it were only that, but with a case like me,
You're not a case.
Oh, that's just it, I am. About 6 weeks ago, unloading cargo, a crate hit me on the head, scrambled my memory. They sent me to the hospital, and the ship sailed without me. She's due back in Calais this afternoon. I was to report aboard if the treatment proved successful. They told me it was successful and discharged me yesterday, or maybe it wasn't yesterday, and none of it happened, and I'm imagining it all.
Try not to worry. It'll all come back to you.
Yeah, but suppose what comes back never really happened. That's the point, you see. That's the point. I remember a lot about yesterday, but what if I only think I remember, and it's all in my...
Now relax. We'll have breakfast in here. If you remember, you remember.
Yeah, but do I? I recall leaving the hospital and going to a hotel. Then I went to an all-night restaurant, and I remember leaving a bar at daybreak. Oh, sit down, Miss Haydock, please. I remember all that clearly. But an hour later, I'm in England, and that's impossible.
Well, you might have wandered aboard a channel steamer.
Use your head. It's a 2 or 3 hour trip by boat.
Well, an airplane, then.
Oh, excuse me, I thought perhaps you'd like your coffee now while waiting for breakfast.
Miss, is there an airfield nearby?
Oh, yes, sir, but it's not an object of interest for tourists today. Our churches is very nice, though.
How far away is it, the airfield?
Oh, you won't see no planes coming or going, sir. The BBC broadcast said no air traffic in or out of Dover for the 6th straight day. Oh, good morning, Mr. Smith-Travers.
Breakfast, Rosie?
Yes, sir. Anything else for the present, sir?
No.
No air traffic 6 days in a row. You'd think that would teach them, but will it?
I beg your pardon?
I leave it to you. Is there any reason for maintaining this undependable method of transportation? A method absolutely at the mercy of the elements, when there's a cheaper, better, less bothersome, simpler, and always certain way of crossing the channel.
You mean the boats?
No, of course not. The tunnel, the channel. Tunnel? Yes, of course. Rosie, I want coffee now.
Right, Mr. Smith-Travers.
The Channel Tunnel. 20 miles through solid, impermeable chalk. In at Dover, out at Calais. Less than an hour's drive. No fuss.
I never heard of it. Is it something recent?
Recent? Oh, you're strangers here. Tourists, eh?
Yeah.
Well, you've heard of Napoleon Bonaparte?
Oh,
yeah. He had it dug. By the 6th Corps of the Engineers of the Imperial Army. Took them 3 years. All done in secret, of course, for a surprise attack on England.
You mean to say there's actually a tunnel beneath the English Channel in use?
Certainly it's in use. I've been through it scores of times. Business, you know. Import-export. Just drove back from Calais a few hours ago. Morning, Doctor.
Good morning, Smith-Travers.
Just advising them to go by way of the tunnel if they want to get to Calais.
Yes, of course. Much the best way.
Did it in 23 minutes this morning. New carburetor, you know. Well, good morning to you, sir. Yes.
I must have seemed like a lunatic, Doctor, not knowing I was in England. You see, I was in Calais, and an hour later I was in England, and I didn't understand how that was possible. I didn't know about the tunnel beneath the channel.
Try not to excite yourself, my boy. Everything will soon be all right.
What?
I've brought someone with me. Constable.
This poor fellow?
Poor fellow? You mean... Oh, you do think But I told you... I didn't know about the tunnel. I must have gone through the tunnel.
He didn't know until Mr. Smith-Travers told him.
Yes, I heard. But Mr. Smith-Travers is also of the firm conviction that we British are descended from the 10 lost tribes of Israel, that Shakespeare never existed, and that after a bit more research we'll be able to transmute base metals into gold. We know him and like him, and humor his eccentricities. Come along, Mr. Parker. I think it in the public interest that you not be on the public streets.
Yeah, come along,
No. Listen. I was in Calais at sunrise. I can prove it. I just remembered the name of the hotel. The Hotel de la Mar. Phoned them, and they'll tell you that there's a David Parker registered there. They have my passport at the desk. Let me go.
You're hurting him, you big bully.
I was in Calais. I was. 2 and 2 make 4. 2 and 2 make 4. 2 and 2 make 4.
You are listening to 2 and 2 Make 4, tonight's presentation of Escape. Keep listening for the climax in tonight's exciting story on Escape. And listen tomorrow for CBS Radio's exciting World Music Festivals concert. 3 excerpts from Alban Berg's tragic opera, Wojciech, will highlight the program. That's tomorrow, daytime, on most of these stations. And now back to Escape and the second act of 2 and 2 Make 4.
They took us to a room in the town hall. Dr. Putney, it turned out, was not only a physician, he was the local magistrate as well. For more than 3 hours, he questioned Miss Haydock and me in turn. He made us repeat our stories endlessly, where she met me, how I behaved, what I said, what she said, and all the rest of it. It was almost noon before he was finished. And watching the clock on the wall, my ship coming nearer to Calais with every tick, I was almost beside myself with anxiety.
You need care, my boy, rest and help. Now, we've a fine institution in Folkestone near here which can give you that care. A few weeks, possibly days.
Institution?
Look, I've got to get to Calais.
Miss Haydock, will you try to convince him it's for the best?
There's nothing wrong with me.
I'll try once more to show you reality, Mr. Parker. You say you were in France at sunrise.
I do, I was.
And you insist you were in England an hour later.
Look, please, call the Hotel de la Mer in Calais. I checked in there. There's bound to be a record of it. That will prove I'm telling the truth.
And if the call is made and it doesn't prove you're telling the truth, will you take my advice about the institution?
Yes.
Constable, put through a call to the Hotel de la Mer in Calais.
Yeah, very good, sir.
If the hotel bears out Mr. Parker's story, you'll let him go?
Miss Haydock, if it turns out that Mr. Parker is right, but how could he be?
2 and 2 make 4. 2 and 2 make 4.
Oh, what's that?
Yeah, I have the hotel, sir.
Use the constable's phone, Mr. Parker. I'll listen in on my extension.
Hello, desk clerk.
Hello.
Hello. Is there a Mr. Parker registered there? David Parker?
Parker? David Parker. Oh, oui, there was, but he has checked out since 2 hours ago.
But, I mean, he couldn't have. You're mistaken.
Oh, no, sir, I am not. Not if you mean the Monsieur Parker is an American seaman. I returned his passport personally when I paid his bill. I have the...
I'm not even who I thought I was. All right, Dr. Putney, I'll go with you.
No, wait. Before you do, let me speak to you in private. Please.
May we, Doctor? Would it be all right?
I'll give you 2 minutes. Constable, we can arrange for an ambulance to Folkestone.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Parker.
No, that's not my name.
2 and 2 make 4.
Yeah.
2 and 2 make 4.
Uh-huh.
You must have faith in yourself. If you're convinced you were in France one moment and in England an hour later, then that's the way it was.
But it's a physical impossibility.
No, it's not. You could have come through the tunnel.
There is no tunnel.
If a tunnel is the only explanation for what happened to you, then there is a tunnel. 2 and 2 make 4.
Yeah. You really believe my story?
I believe you.
All right, then. All right. What do I do now?
You tell me. Come on, you know the answer.
I find the man in the restaurant, the man who said there was a tunnel, Smith Travers.
Right. Open the window.
All right. I'll go first and I'll help you down. Come on.
Here's my knapsack.
Got it. Now you.
Time's up, I'm afraid. Miss Haydock, come back here.
Miss Haydock! Mr. X, whatever your name is. Constable, stop them!
I'll do my best, sir.
The fog hit us before we'd run 20 feet. We dodged around corners, then stopped at a garage and looked up Mr. Smith Travers' address in a directory. It proved to be a little villa like a dozen others I'd seen that day. There was no answer when we knocked at the door, so we waited. And before very long, Mr. Smith Travers drove up in a light truck.
Look. The valise I left at the hotel in Calais. He's got it.
Good afternoon. I'll take that.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, my passport, too, please.
Yes. I see you've concluded the tunnel does exist.
That's right.
Last, you're the first to ever have. It's a bit of bad luck, for me, that is. If I hadn't hit a flat tire halfway through, the passport and police would be in ashes by now. You, phoned the hotel in Calais?
Yes.
Yes, I thought you might. I heard you shouting at the inn about the hotel, so I drove over. Didn't it make you doubt your senses when they told you checked out?
Oh, you have no idea.
Yes, I was counting on that.
Yeah, it rocked me, but only for a minute.
How the devil did you get in my machine in the first place?
Well, the way I figure, I was knocked on the head by some thug and robbed this morning in Calais. Whoever did it may have thrown me in your truck to get me out of sight.
I was never so surprised in my life. I mean to say, I skidded near Dover, sideswiped a tree, and heard the back door bang open. When I stopped and went back, there you were, lying with a bolt of my silk in your arms. Took my breath away. When you started to groan and sit up, I was beside myself.
What's the matter?
It just occurred to me, you're not English. A bad thing to have someone not in the government and a foreigner to boot to know about the tunnel. Security, you know.
Do you mean the British government knows of the tunnel?
No, it doesn't. No, I've sent letters to every prime minister since MacDonald, telling them about it. Charts, diagrams, descriptions. Useless. They think I'm a crank. I can't blame them. What would Mr. Eisenhower say if you told him there's a tunnel between London and New York? You see what I mean? They got acknowledgement just once. A CID man came around and blabbed the whole story to everyone. Told them to keep an eye on me as a dangerous lunatic. The only way to protect the secret after that was to ride it like a mania, so I told everyone too. Best security measure ever devised. Now, however, there are 3 of us who really know about the tunnel. It's awkward. I don't know what to do.
Oh, I can tell you exactly. You're going to take me back to Calais and now, otherwise I'll beat you to a pulp. I ought to anyway, making me doubt myself as you did.
Taking you into the tunnel. Yes, that might be the best way.
We'd never tell anyone, I swear it.
Yes. I don't want you to see the entrance and exit, though. You'll have to wear blindfolds.
Agreed.
Now, let's get going, then. Yes, taking you into the tunnel is the best way.
Say, how much longer before we're in the tunnel?
You can take off the blindfolds now. We're in it.
How wonderful.
The tunnel? Yes, they did a fine job, the 6th Corps. That's what they got for it. Boney flung them in the Russian campaign when they'd finished, and sort of it, they all died. That's a way of keeping a secret, eh?
How did you learn of it?
Reading in the British Museum. I was broke and unemployed. I found an old diary by one of the engineers. Investigated and found it was true. I wrote to the government, told them about that. Well, it was too good to let it waste, so I set up a small import-export business. Cheaper transportation gives me an edge on my competitors.
Are we in Calais?
Well, no, but it's as far as you go. I've got to kill you. I can't let you live. It's too dangerous now that you know. The shotgun failed me twice today. Perhaps the revolver. Get out of the truck, please. Unless you want your blood all over the young lady, please.
Oh, all right.
Now, perhaps... Well, I won't think you cowardly if you turn your back.
Listen...
Oh, come now, no temporizing. Just take it. Oh, dash it all.
Emily?
I think I'm going to faint.
Help me get him back into the truck, huh?
Just let me sit here for a moment.
Yeah.
David?
Huh?
We'll tell the authorities the truth. About the tunnel and all.
Uh-huh.
Everyone ought to know.
Yeah.
It's too good a thing. It makes travel and trade and communication so simple. We've no right to keep it a secret.
Check. We'll tell the authorities. We came to the end of the tunnel at exactly 2 o'clock by Miss Haydock's watch. Time and to spare in order to board my ship. We left Mr. Smith Travers in the truck and made our way into what was apparently a small warehouse. And from there, through a door, we found ourselves on the corner of a street, much like any other street in Calais. A fog had rolled in since sunrise as thick as the one we'd left in England. Oh, one moment. I want to make a note of this street or we'll never find the tunnel again. Hey, you got a pencil?
Mm-mm.
Oh, never mind. I have one.
There's no street sign.
Oh, up there on the side of the building. They don't put them on lampposts like we do in the States. All right, I've got it. Say, when do you get back to the States?
September 1st. School term starts on the 10th. I teach kindergarten in Baltimore.
Oh, we're supposed to put in at Baltimore Christmas week.
Well, that's marvelous. We could have Christmas Eve together.
Yeah, New Year's too, maybe. Oh, I'll look forward to that.
You'll write. Meanwhile, won't you?
Oh, of course. You know, I'll never be able to thank you enough for what you did. What made you believe in me so strongly?
Oh, I don't know. You see, What's the matter?
I'm not sure. We're walking toward the harbor. That's the trouble with a foreign city. You turn a corner and you're lost. And this dirty fog is so... Well, let's try this way.
Would that be a policeman in the doorway?
Where? Oh, yes, it is. Parlez anglais.
A little.
Which way is the harbor?
Turn at the next corner, to the left, and walk 4 streets.
Well, thank you. Oh, how do you pronounce the name of the street I've written here?
Street?
Yeah.
There's no street.
A street? What does it say?
In English, this way to the air raid shelter. We have put them on almost every building in Calais.
Air raid shelter? Then we'll never be able to find our way back to the tunnel.
Eh?
Gendarme, are you sure?
But of course. As sure as I am that 2 and 2 make 4.
Escape, produced and directed by David Friedkin and Morton Fine, has brought you 2 and 2 Make 4, a story by Walter Newman. Featured in the cast were Shep Menken, Joyce McCluskey, Tudor Owen, and Richard Peel. Also heard were Betty Hartford, Dick Ryan, Melitza Milo, and James Barrett. Your announcer, Bill Anders. The special music for Escape is composed and conducted by Leith Stevens. Next week.
You're on a ketch sailing the coral seas, snaking your way through the tricky channel toward an island of black pearls. While on the shore, waiting for you to land, is the man who has sworn your death, and from whom there is no escape.
So listen next week when Escape brings you Robert Tallman's story, The King of Oanatu. Stay tuned now for Night Watch, which follows immediately over most of these stations. America listens most to the CBS Radio Network.
Chex, Rice Chex, and Good Hot Ralston present Space Patrol! High adventure in the wild, vast reaches of space. Missions of daring in the name of interplanetary justice. Travel into the future with Buzz Corey, Commander-in-Chief of the Space Patrol. In today's transcribed adventure, we find Buzz and Happy in a relay communication station in space at the mercy of Jim Colmar, who's in league with a strange alien power. Using some mysterious crystals, Colmar is forcing Buzz and Happy to obey him against their will.
Follow me into the generator room.
Commander, the crystals are getting brighter. That's all I can see or think about. Just the crystal.
Try to look away. Keep walking up to the generator. Closer. Closer.
Find it, Happy.
Touch the connection. Reach out your hand.
Happy, don't touch it. I can't hold back.
You've got to. If you touch it, you're finished.
We'll be back in just a moment with today's Space Patrol story, The Seed Crystals of Zeldabran. This is Space Patroller Dick Tufeld, gang, and boy, am I excited. We have a new machine here at Space Patrol headquarters, and it's terrific. It's called the Flavor Meter. It's used for testing the flavor of food. Now, I have a plain, ordinary cereal right here, so let's test it. The better it tastes, the louder it'll ring the bell. All I do is put the cereal in this slot and push the button. Not much flavor there, is there? I suppose we put in some other ordinary cereals. Well, not even a tinkle. Now, here's a couple of super cereals I'd like to test. I'll put them both in. Wow, that did it. Those cereals really ring the bell for flavor, you bet. They were Rice Chex and Wheat Chex. Chex, the cereals with that modern bite-sized design. Chex, the super cereals that help to supercharge you. Test them yourself, gang, in your own cereal bowl. Believe me, they'll really ring the bell for flavor. Rice Chex, Wheat Chex. And now, today's Space Patrol adventure, The Seed Crystals of Zeldabran. Swinging in a wide orbit around the planet Saturn is the artificial satellite Com Relay 4, the powerful communications relay center. Serious trouble between two men assigned to duty at the space station has brought Commander Corey and Cadet Happy to investigate. With their ship, Terra 5, joined to the airlock of Com Relay 4, Buzz and Happy are now opening the inner lock of the huge disc-shaped relay station.
Go ahead, Happy.
Yes, sir. Welcome aboard, Commander.
Oh, Ma, you look as though you haven't had any sleep for 2 days.
Oh, it's been nearer 3, sir. I've been working both shifts.
Why didn't you report this dispute between Siler and yourself immediately?
I should be able to handle my own assistant. I don't like to yell to the top brass for help.
Where is Siler?
He took a swing at me, so I had to lock him out. He's back here.
All right, let's find out what this is all about. Come on, Happy.
Yes, sir. He's in here.
All right, Kumar. If you'll wait for us in the control room, Happy and I will have a talk with Siler.
Yes, Commander. I hope you can straighten him out.
All right, Happy, open the door.
Yes, sir.
Well, Siler, let's hear your version of the story.
Didn't Colmar tell you I swung at him?
Yes.
Okay. I assaulted the superior. Why go into it any further?
Close the door, Happy. Siler, I know your record. You've worked these two-man teams for years. I find it hard to believe you suddenly went space happy and struck Jim Colmar. Let's have the whole story.
We got along all right at the beginning, but lately Colmar's been unreasonable. He races his rockets over every little thing.
And you don't feel that you've done anything to antagonize him?
No, sir.
When was the first blow-up?
A couple of days after the meteor hit us.
Meteor?
It was just a little one, about the size of a marble. We patched up the hole in the hull and everything was okay. And one day I walked into the control room to relieve him a little early. It was a favor, see, and he jumped down my throat.
What did he say to you?
Said he was tired of my sneaking up behind him. He got his hand clutched around something as though he were afraid I'd steal it. He acted like a spoiled kid.
Was that when you swung at him?
No, it was later. He kept finding fault with everything I did. Well, I finally blew up. He swung wild, and he connected. I was a little surprised. I didn't think Colmar had it in him.
Now, Siler, you're relieved from duty. I'm taking you back to Terra. But first, I want a written report from Jim
Commander, I just put Bob Seiler aboard the spaceship for Venus.
Oh, a few weeks in the rest camp at Lake Azure will fix him up all right.
He certainly was grateful to you for not entering that row with Colmar as a black mark on his record.
I'm putting it down as a flare-up of temperament due to confinement and strain. Actually, beginning to think Colmar could do with the rest at Lake Azure, too.
Oh, by the way, sir, the applicant for duty at the Tom Relay is waiting to see you. His name is Jack Perkins.
All right, Happy, show me.
Commander will see you now, Mr. Perkins.
Thanks, Cadet.
Good morning, Commander.
Oh, sit down, Perkins.
Thank you, sir.
So you want to be assigned to duty at Saturn Com Relay 4, huh?
That's right.
Do you know who's in charge there?
Sure, Jim Colmar. Best spaceophone engineer of the solar system.
I won't argue with you there. But you had a serious dispute with him about 4 years ago. He had you court-martialed.
I had it coming. I've learned a lot since then, Commander. There won't be any more trouble.
You'll be notified of my decision.
Thank you, sir. Believe me, I want this assignment more than I wanted anything before in my life. Well, goodbye, sir. I'll wait until I hear from you. Commander.
Yes, Riley?
Can I see you a minute, sir?
Certainly.
I've been getting more complaints about Saturn Com Relay 4.
Well, what is it now?
Saturn and Neptune channels are weak, but Colmar is feeding a wild beam out into space 40 degrees west of Pluto. He's sending gibberish where there aren't any planets or space lanes.
He's probably groggy from lack of sleep. You've got to get him an assistant right away.
He's put in a request for a specific man. Came through the private channel about an hour ago.
Oh, who does he want?
Guy who just left here? Jack Perkins.
Well, I'm either putting a lion and a tiger into a cage together, or I'm helping to restore a beautiful friendship.
You mean you're going to okay Perkins' appointment?
We need a man out there quickly, and I feel we should send a man of Fulmer's choice.
Yes, sir.
See that Jack Perkins gets in the next space patrol transport.
Thanks for asking for me, Colmar. Strange, isn't it? Am I getting a hunch to apply for the assignment just at this time?
No, it may not be as strange as you think, Jack. We'll get along fine, I'm sure of that.
Sure we will. There I was wasting my time on Mars when all of a sudden I thought of you.
Here's the control room.
Wow. Say, you sure got this thing fixed up. Where'd you promote all this extra equipment?
I'll tell you someday. For the time being, I just say this isn't standard for a comm relay station of this size.
I'll say not. Jim, you got something in this room. Something strange, magnetic. Something behind the amplifier. I knew it. The crystal.
Yes. You have one too, haven't you?
Yes, I've got it with me. But yours is a much larger crystal. Where'd you get it?
It crashed through the hull of a station a few weeks ago. For a time being, I was afraid my assistant would examine. I told him it was a meteorite, and he seemed satisfied.
This one fell at my feet when I was hiking across a plain on Mars.
Mysterious, isn't it?
Yeah. It even seems to be trying to tell me something. To tell me where it's from. From a world far away. Beyond the solar system.
Zeldabran, perhaps?
Yes, Zeldabran. What does it mean, then?
It means we have been selected from all the people of the solar system to guide the invaders. The liberators from Zeldabran.
I don't quite understand.
You will. Probably millions of these crystals were fired out into space, in all directions from Zeldabran. Just on the chance that one or two might come to rest on an inhabited planet.
But, Jim, are the crystals alive?
No, not in the usual sense. But they vibrate in sympathy with the life force of the men of Zeldabran. That's how they communicate with us. Project the thoughts of these men.
You've learned all this from the crystal?
Yes. And we must keep these crystals a secret from everyone. Those are the orders.
Yes, I know.
All who have the crystal will be brought together, as we were. Only by working in secret can we guide our masters here, the conquerors from Zeldabran. Come, we got work to do.
Commander,
Oh, yes, Robbie?
Something's got to be done about Com Relay 4.
Isn't that mess straightened out yet?
Well, it's improved a little since Perkins arrived. But our message center is still 4 hours behind schedule in clearing communications to Pluto.
Due to Com Relay 4, Major?
Yeah. Pluto reports signal strength is weak from the relay center. We've run the code tape through twice.
Have Colmar or Perkins given any explanation?
None that makes any sense.
Well, I'll get some sense out of them. Robbie, beam all out-of-planet spaceophone signals through Jupiter Com Relay 3.
Right.
Happy and I are blasting off for Com Relay 4 to find out what Perkins and Colmar...
The crystals are gleaming brighter, Colmar. Yes. I'm using their pulsations to modulate the spaceophone signal. It's amazing that a crystal can absorb the thoughts and feelings of a human being and then emit those vibrations to make us understand. Yes. If the crystals hadn't sensed that we were friendly, they probably would have remained cold lumps of mineral. They know their friends, these crystals, and they know their enemies. Look, their light is fading. The crystals are warning us. Quick, disconnect them from the modulator while I check the spaceophone. Right, Cole. Someone must be coming. And just when I felt that we were about to contact Zeldabran. Look, there on the viewscope. A spaceship. Yes, a Space Patrol battle cruiser. Terra 5. It's Commander Corey, and he's heading right for the station. Those messages. We should have diverted more power to the regular signals instead of pouring it all towards Zeldabran. They may be suspicious. The crystal will protect us. We'll let Corey aboard the space station, if that's what he wants. But hold on to your crystal. Let it guide you. And whatever the crystal tells you... They're in the airlock. Hold your crystal firmly. And don't be afraid. We'll get out of this.
I'm not afraid, Colmar.
Well, I hardly expected you back so soon, Commander.
Hello, Colmar. I'm surprised to see you looking so well.
I feel much better since Tyler left and Perkins is here.
Well, that's fine. But what about your relay transmitters? Pluto can barely pick you up. You've got a beam 40 degrees west of Pluto that nearly burned out our meters.
Yeah, we tested it when we came in.
I want an explanation, Colmar.
Very well. We are diverting the power of the space relay station to more important matters.
What's more important than your duty, relaying official messages?
I'm afraid you'll never know. Come with me, Commander.
You're a little confused, aren't you? You take orders from me, remember?
I said come with me. Follow me.
You must be space happy, Commander. And what are those little bottles they're holding?
Colmar. Perkins. What's in those bottles?
They are crystals. Crystals from another universe. Now come. Come, Commander.
Commander. Something funny is happening. I can't take my eyes off those crystals.
Follow me into the generator room.
Happy, try to look away. They've got our reactions controlled somehow.
Crystals are getting brighter. That's about all I can see.
Walk up to the generator. Touch the connections. Then you will know what we are doing with all the power.
Happy, don't touch it.
I can't hold back.
Reach out your hands. It is not I, but our masters of Zeldabran who command you. Reach out your hands. Take the power connections in your hands.
We'll be back with Space Patrol in just a moment. But first,
this is Commander Corey
and Captain Dick Tufeld,
reminding you that pulling up to your breakfast table
is like pulling up to a filling station.
Give them out example, Dick.
Right. A jet cycle has just pulled into a filling station to get its tank filled.
The man has it filled with ordinary fuel. Listen. Not much go in that jet cycle, is there?
But now listen to that same jet cycle filled with super fuel. Man, that cycle's roaring like a rocket now because it's supercharged with super fuel.
Same thing is true of you, gang. To get going in the morning, you need super fuel, too.
So get supercharged the way Buzz Corey and all us space patrollers do.
Eat a power breakfast with Instant Ralston, the hot super cereal made of rich whole wheat.
Instant Ralston helps you to think fast.
And act fast.
So remember, gang, when you pull up to your breakfast table, it's just like pulling up to a filling station. You're there for fuel.
Super fuel, so you can get supercharged. Take a tip. Eat a power breakfast with Instant Ralston and get supercharged. Get it today in the red and white checkerboard package. Good, hot Ralston.
And now, back to our Space Patrol adventure, the Seed Crystals of Zeldabran. Two mysterious crystals have found their way into the solar system from outer space. One crashed through the hull of a communications relay station in the Saturn orbit. The other landed on a Martian plain. Discovered millions of miles apart by two men who once were enemies, the crystals have brought the two men together in the space station, united in a weird project. Buzz and Happy, investigating failure of the relay station to operate properly, are under the strange power of the crystals. And the two space patrolmen seem powerless to resist their orders.
One more step, Cadet. Fight it up, Happy. I'm trying, sir. Follow the crystals. Reach out your hand and feel the surge of power you never felt before. You can leave this universe in a blinding blue-green flash of glory. Another inch, Cadet. No, Happy. No! My crystal! And there's yours, Perkins. Now get away from the generator, Happy, quickly. All right, Commander. Get your hands out. Don't reach for your ray gun. Don't try anything, Cadet. Good work, Perkins. Watch him. Don't let him get up. Right. Hold on. Where did those crystals come from? From Zeldabran. And they're the guiding force that will bring the United Planets conquerors here from the planets of our masters.
Oh, Ma, you've been out in space too long. You almost had us touching those generators. But put up that gun. I'll see that you get medical attention, and I won't bring any charges against you.
That's mighty big of you, Commander. That's what happened to the crystals. When the containers broke, the crystals faded. They're just like ordinary lumps of quartz. Corey, I ought to fix you good. Hold on, Packard. Let's wait and see what the crystals say. They may have other orders. Lock Corey and the Cadet in the empty compartment. We'll try to revive the crystals.
Commander, how are we going to get out of here? Omar and Perkins are completely out of their minds.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Put your ear close to this ventilator. Listen to me.
They revive quickly in the first solution.
The compartment, the other end of this vent.
I see the crystals are giving off light again.
In a few hours, we can put them back in the modulator. This time, maybe we can get through the Zeldabran. I think the beam is weakened by the cosmic rays from the sun. If we could take this relay station out beyond the Pluto orbit, how can we do that? There is one other person in the solar system who has found one of the crystals. He has helped me already by bringing me equipment I needed. Who is he? A very wealthy man on Terra, Zoltan Cephalou. If he comes here with a powerful spaceship, we could quickly accelerate the relay station out beyond the Pluto orbit.
Come away from the vent, Happy. Yes, sir. Sounds crazy, but those crystals just might be a contact from some other system.
At any rate, I've never seen crystals behaving like that before.
Whether or not they're from another universe, they're dangerous in the hands of Colmar and Perkins. Have you got your miniature spacephone?
Yes, sir.
Good. We'll try to reach Major Robertson and have him pick up Zoltan Cephalou. If Colmar tries to contact Cephalou, we'll at least have evidence.
The crystals have revived enough to handle Corey and the Cadet.
And this time, we'll be more careful.
Unlock the door. Wait.
That's right, Robbie. Hold Cephalou. We've got a peculiar crystal that gives out a violet light. Take that, too. Hurry up.
They got a spacephone in there. A miniature. Quickly. All right, Corey. We'll just take that little spacephone.
Spacephone? What spacephone?
Come on, hand it over. You'll get a worse clout than you did before. All right. Here you are.
I'll fix this little device. There. Now let's see you contact anybody. Soon we will be carrying out the will of our masters, the rulers of Zeldabran.
You really believe that stuff, don't you?
If you were fortunate enough to sense the vibration of the crystals, you would believe it too.
Colmar and I know things you'll never know. About a superior race of men, far out among the stars.
These crystals are seeds they have scattered throughout space. When they find fertile ground and receptive life, they bloom and glow.
With our spacephone equipment, we can transmit their pulsations back to Zeldabran. Then our masters will know they can come here to a new home.
Commander, what do you think?
It makes no difference what the commander thinks. He's going to help us.
How?
We've got to move the space station before someone investigates. The commander's ship is connected to our era. We'll have him move Tom Relay 4 to a better location. Now let's plug these two in here until we get our crystals. This time there must be no slip-up.
What are you going to do, sir?
I'm going to try to put us under the power of those crystals. If the crystals don't work, Colmar and Perkins still have our weapons. But if they think we're under the spell of the crystals, we may be able to catch them off guard after we're in the ship. Now, don't look directly at the crystals. And keep your eyes partly closed.
Yes, sir.
And pretend to be resisting.
Come on. Follow the crystal into your ship. After me. That's it.
Try to stall them, Happy. Hold back.
I can't. My feet keep moving in spite of all I do.
Come on. Don't fight it. It's no use.
That's it. Now close the inner hatch. Take your usual position at the control panel. Quickly now. Now watch the crystals and listen. You will start the ship gently at first so as not to pull away from the relay station. Is that clear?
Yes.
Now go ahead. Your usual procedure.
Just a minute, Commander. That's the spaceophone you just turned on.
Major Robertson.
Don't try to answer him.
I could only move my hand. Look at him. He's straining every muscle to turn on the microphone.
Major Robertson to Commander Corey. I've tried to reach you for 20 minutes. Here's the message in case you can't acknowledge. Zoltan Cephalou has been captured.
Oh.
Cephalou had us completely in his power until I found the crystal. Then we grabbed Cephalou without any trouble. Repeat, Major Robertson.
Turn that out. We've got to get away from here quickly. Corey, start the ship.
Stand by to fire rockets. Half G acceleration.
Standing by, sir. 1/2 G.
Fire rockets.
Perkins, is the space station holding to the ship?
Seems to be, from what I can tell through the viewport.
Corey, increase our velocity gradually. Do you understand?
Yes, I understand.
Set a course 40 degrees west of Pluto.
40 degrees west of Pluto.
That's it.
They're like automatons. Look at them.
They're completely under the power of the crystals. It'll take us several hours to get beyond Pluto's orbit. But by then we should be able to send signals to Zeldabran.
Then what about Corey and the Cadet?
Their usefulness will be over. We will dispose of them.
How will we get back?
Don't worry about that. There are supplies for weeks in the space station. We will calmly await the arrival of our masters from Zeldabran.
Correct course. 1.5 degrees west.
1.5 degrees west.
3 degrees high.
3 degrees high.
Happy, are you under control?
Under control, Commander.
Then I give the word and you quickly rush me. As steady as you go.
Yes, sir.
Now, get back to your control.
Give me that crystal, Colmar.
Let go of that crystal, Perkins.
I got one, Commander.
Here's Colmar. Hold it. All right, Colmar, stand back. I've got this ray gun on you.
Corey, you fool. You've only temporarily broken the power of the crystal. Give them back.
You know, that's an idea. We will give them back, but not to you. We'll fire those crystals out of the ship. That's the only way to break their control. Happy, quickly. Open the breech, the cosmic torpedo gun. Right. Breech opens it. Put them in and close it. All right, Happy. Fire the torpedo.
You shot the crystals out into space.
Yes. Out towards Zeldabran. Or wherever they came from.
Hey, I feel different now. I can move my hands easily.
Homer, what happened?
Commander Corey and the Cadet shot the crystals out into space.
Out where they'll never be found. At least by anybody in the solar system.
Thank goodness. But that's wonderful.
What are you so happy about, Colmar? I thought you wanted the crystals.
They had some terrible power over me. Now it's broken. I'm free again.
So am I. Commander, if you hadn't fought us, Colmar and I would have brought something horrible into the solar system. I don't know just what, but it wouldn't have been good. Snap out spacephone Robbie and give orders to blast that third crystal out of the solar system.
Commander, Perkins and I are traitors, and we deserve whatever is coming to us. But I'm glad it's over.
A brainograph test will show whether you were acting under the influence of the crystals or your own free will. Well, I'm glad it's over. But I've got something to settle with you, Colmar.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to punch you in the jaw for getting me court-martialed 4 years ago.
I'd like to see you try.
No,
it.
wait, break it up. Now, let's not have any more of that.
Hey, Commander, it was the crystals. See? See, with the crystals gone, they're enemies again.
And so, once again, Commander Corey's quick thinking and daring have prevented a disaster in the United Planets. But even now, events are taking place that may mean more danger for Commander Corey. And now, an exciting preview of next week's Space Patrol adventure. Oz and Happy have landed on a small planetoid. At this moment, wearing their spacesuits, they're approaching the airlock of a prospector's cave, where a criminal is believed to be hiding.
Have your ray gun ready, Hap. I'll see if I can open the airlock.
Right, Commander. And where did that come from?
Someone's firing at us.
That one came from the other direction.
The airlock won't open. We have no protection. Whoever's controlling those weapons can just keep firing until they get us.
Be sure to be with us next Saturday for the exciting story of Magic Space Pictures, when wheat checks, rice checks, and good hot Ralston again bring you Space Patrol! High adventure in the wild, vast reaches of space. Missions of daring in the name of interplanetary justice. Travel into the future with Buzz Corey, Commander-in-Chief of the Space Patrol! Space Patrol, an original Mike Moser production starring Ed Kemmer as Commander Corey and Lynn Osborne as Cadet Happy, was written by Lou Houston and directed by Larry Robertson. Other players were Bela Kovach, Ken Mayer, and Norman Jolly. Dick Tufeld speaking. Now, don't forget to tune in next Saturday and every Saturday when wheat checks, rice checks, and good hot Ralston again present the new exciting Space Patrol! And be sure to see another exciting Space Patrol story on your local ABC television station. Consult your local paper for time and channel. And now, a word to mothers about the salad of the year.
Peach Coronation Salad. A brand new idea inspired by the crowning of England's lovely new queen. A salad that looks like a queen's crown, studded with jewels.
But the kind of a salad a man can go for. It's made with creamy cottage cheese and luscious canned cling peaches from California.
Give your Peach Coronation Salad that perfect touch. Serve with delicious rye crisp. Those toasty wafers with a hearty rye flavor.
Boy, what a way Rye Crisp has of making other foods taste their best.
You will see the Coronation Salad featured in magazines and newspapers, and in special displays at your grocers all during the month of March.
And when you serve this colorful new salad, be sure to serve it with delicious Rye Crisp.
For your figure's sake, make Rye Crisp your bread all the time. Only 21 calories in a double square.
No waiting for the famous Rye Crisp reducing plan when you buy Rye Crisp. It's printed right on the package.
Remember, it's smart to make your bread Rye Crisp.
Space Patrol comes to you transcribed from Hollywood. This is ABC Radio Network.